Ćao ljudi, kako ste? Nismo se videli 100 godina, baš je puno vremena prošlo i svašta se izdešavalo, ali evo nas nazad. Malo update-a, nažalost nismo namestili Patreon, tako da ovo će, kako stvari stoje, biti naša poslednja emisija. Jedino ako nam se ne dese neki sponzori umeđu vremenu, onda ćemo rado da se vratimo. Žuki, Stefane, dobrodošli opet posle ko znam koliko vremena.
Da, i mi tebi isto kažemo dobrodošao posle toliko vremena. Jesi da si ti domaćin.
Da, svi smo domaćini.
Zato i kažem, da, definitivno. Super je da smo opet zajedno, moram da priznam.
Ja obožavam, čoveče, kad se ovako navatamo i mogu ti reći što smo ređe tu, ljudi mi više pišu, pa gde ste, pa šta ste, pa čekali smo petak, pa ovo, pa ono, ali šta da radimo?
Pa objasnio si na početku šta je osnovni problem i kod da mi ne bi volili da svake nedelje radimo i da budemo aktivni i da pratimo aktivno sve što se dešava u svetu hokeja. Evo, obzirom da je ovo, kao što smo ti ja pričali pred početak, neka vrsta olimpijskog specijala, jer su prošle olimpijske igre, bilo je jako zanimljivo, bilo je svega i svačega, bilo je to prvenstvo sveta, treće divizije u Beogradu za dame, po prvi put reprezentacija Srbije igrala hokej. Dakle, mnogo toga je bilo i svaista je to trebalo se ispratiti. Mi ćemo nekako pokušati da to smestimo u ovaj naš mali segment pa da vidimo kako će da izgleda.
Gledaj, ono kad smo radili svaki petak pa smo imali emisije po 2-3 sata.
Jeste.
Sad još Stefan može da priča 5 sati, ja 8.
Neka, ali to i jeste cela poenta priče.
Svaki petak koliko god hoćeš, ali dobro. Da krenemo od tih domaćih dešavanja, malo i regionalnih dešavanja. Lepo si najavio da su devojke imale prvo svetsko prvenstvo, želeo bih puno da ih pozdravim, bravo devojke,
i da im čestitamo, naravno.
Prvo takmičenje, srebrna medalja, super ste igrali, super ste se borili, ali ja moram da kažem u emisiji da mi je jako strašno da Brestovac nije bio trener, čovek koji ih je 10 godina vodio, koji je bio tu kad ih niko nije pratio, kad niko nije teo za njih da se postavi, on ih je doveo ovde deso i sad kad je trebao na prvom svetskom bude trener, su ga skinuli. Meni je to neshvatljivo i mislim da je to loša stvar, ali svaka čast devojke, stvarno sam ponosan na vas i samo tako nastavite jako.
Čisto da kažemo da su bili Estonija, Izrael i Bosna i Hercegovina, to je ono što je jako važno i devojke iz Bosne i Hercegovine su učestvovale, tako da i njima čestitamo na učešću. Definitivno je to nešto što je novo u svetu hokeja na ovim prostorima, bar kad je Srbija i Bosna u pitanju, odnosno Bosna i Hercegovina. Dakle, definitivno jedna velika stvar za hokej i meni je mnogo drago što su ove cure, hrabro odigrale, baš moram da kažem hrabro, nije lako kad nemate utakmice između pa se pripremate pa jedva čekate da počne to prvenstvo, po prvi put ste reprezenti svoje zemlje, jeste, ako se ne varam, Estonija je bila najjača, uvek nam je Estonija kostu grlu, ali oni ljudi imaju toliko
oni imaju ligu, oni imaju 6 timova ženski.
Ivane, oni imaju toliko klizališta na svakom koraku, da je to, moram da ti kažem jednu anegdotu, znaš, kad sam bio 2008. Evo.
Nemoj samo o Lukoviću, man.
Ne, o Legi, ne. Nego, bilo mi je zanimljivo, 90% devojaka koje sam vidio tamo su jako snažne u nogama. Ja nisam mogao da shvatim zašto. I onda su mi objasnili, pa one sve kližu, ili su hokej na ledu, ili umetničko klizanje, i onda sam shvatio koliko je to važno. I zbog toga čestitam devojkama našim još više, jer Estonke su odavno u nekom foru, imaju veliku prednost, one su to je dokazale na kraju osvajanjem zlatne medalje, ali ovo je veliki uspeh. I to je vrhunski rezultat za našu reprezentaciju.
Stefan, ti možda proprati neku utakmicu?
Znaš kako, ja sam video najave i video sam rezultate, sve što treba da se vidi, tako to, ali nisam bio u Beogradu tu par dana, baš kad je to bilo, tako da nisam.
Ja iskreno sam teo da odem u halu da ih podržim, ali s obzirom Brestovac nije bio na klupi.
Ti si se priklonio, da.
Ja sam se priklonio Brestovcu, ali
ja moram da priznam, meni je problem što sam radio u tom periodu tačno, ne mogu da odem, one su igrali recimo od 5:30 ili...
Da, u 5:30.
Tako je, i onda je meni to bio veliki problem, ali sam budno pratio rezultate i čekao da izađe i da vidi šta se sve dešavalo.
Se sećaš kacigu koju smo dali od...
Devojčici, da.
Valentini. Valentina je bila najbolji napadač.
Mislim da je to...
Ovo je prvenstvo, tako je, svaka je čast. Mislim, ja nju pratim već nekoliko godina, devojka igra fenomenalno i...
Ma savršeno je, ja zaista moram da pohvalim još jednom, evo, oduzimam vreme, ponavljam se ko gramofonska ploča pokvarena, ali devojke su zaista zaslužile sve čestitke i samo ako mogu tako da nastave i da probaju da... Tako je.
Da ostanemo malo na ovim prostorima, jeste puno vremena prošlo, ali Hrvati su napravili ekipu do 18 godina, koja se takmičila u Austrijskoj ligi. I momci su ušli u play-off i u prvom kolu su igrali protiv Kaca, koji je prošle godine uzeo ovaj turnir i ove godine uzeo turnir i u Kacu su pobedili prvu utakmicu.
To je sjajna stvar, da.
Znači, neverovatno, svaka čast momcima i tako se to radi. Znači, napravili su ekipu najboljih, koji su okosnica reprezentacije koja je sada pre par dana osvojila i zlatnu medalju, dobili su promociju gore. Veliki pozdrav i za Šakića i za Vedelina. Ćao drugari, znam da nas pratite. Želeli smo i da vas dovedemo, ali malo problem sa terminima. Stvarno veliki pozdrav i čestitam puno.
To je takođe ogroman uspeh, ja moram da priznam.
Tako se gradi.
Da, pa eto primjera i za nas, da razmišljamo na to. Bio je super taj primer Beograd, međutim iz raznoraznih razloga to nije funkcionisalo, ali mislim da je to jedan od sjajnih primjera kako bi recimo neka reprezentacija do 18 godina mogla da napreduje i da predstavlja ovu zemlju na najbolji mogući način u nekoj takvoj ligi, ali kažem, ajde da ne ulazimo previše u neke druge detalje.
Mi nemamo ligu do 18 do 20 godina, već ko zna koliko, a Mađarska nam je blizu. To bi bio super projekat da se tako nešto napravi. Hrvatima je donelo uspeh.
Nažalost, mi nemamo dovoljno igrača, nama igrači igraju za 18 i za 20. Zamisli da imaš igrače do 20 i do 18, da imaš dve reprezentacije, dva tima koji bi mogli da igraju recimo u Mađarskoj ligi. Na primer. To bi bilo savršeno.
Šta ti misliš, Stefan?
Pa znaš kako, mislim, svakako bi to bilo korisno i to, ali mi generalno uvek pričamo o sličnim stvarima, a onda je to... znaš kako, to su stvari u koje se vi svakako bolje razumete, to je ipak i do saveza i do broja klizališta i do termina i do svega toga, razumeš, i pre svega do financija. Kad bi bile tu financije, to bi se sve nekako, verujem, sredilo i sve bi se to nekako iskristalizovalo na bolje. I to, međutim, dok toga nema, opet nekako mislim da Hrvati, ne samo što se hokeja tiče, mislim sad je to možda ovako malo čudno zvuči, ali neke te stvari mislim da bolje organizuju.
Ja bih rekao mnoge stvari, baš što se sporta tiče.
Pazi, ali oni imaju puno problema, recimo Dom sportova više nema to klizališta, znaš, oni su spajeni na Vele Sajam i na Šalatru koja je...
Pa dobro,
ali imamo i mi.
Dva klizališta u Zagrebu, je li tako?
Pa,
u Sisku?
Jedno, šta Šalatra radi možda 2-3 meseca.
Pa dobro, pa mislim, a šta mi imamo? Mi imamo ledenu dvoranu Pionir i povremeno Spence.
Pa pazi, ja mislim da sad Pionir može duže da radi nego Vele Sajam.
Ne, okej, ali prosto ovo što je Stefan, samo sam dođe ono što je Stefan rekao, znači osnovni problem, kaže Stefan financije, jeste, ali osnovni problem su klizališta, sa klizalištem dolazi više klinaca, ajde da kažemo više članarina, malo više para, drugačije se gleda i to je uzročno-posledična veza. Znači ovde je pre svega potrebna pomoć države, ali ne u smislu, ne znam, davanja, ne znam, nego da se naprave još 2 ili 3 klizališta i vidiš kako će to da donese prosperitet, ne samo u Beogradu, nego svim ostalim gradovima, jer klinci mogu preko zime, pa i preko leta, u ostalom bila je priča da će hokejaši da pređu na letnje olimpijske igre, da se sklone sa zimskih, pa svoje vremeno je bila.
Što bi to radio?
Pa, zato što je ekstra atraktivno da ti i oni mogu da se pojave na Olimpijskim igrama, jer je to praktično u pauzi između dve sezone.
Da,
to je bila neka priča.
Toga, da,
to je bila neka priča.
Logično,
naravno. I to je osnov svega, znači da se naprave klizališta, ne vjerujem da je to ne znam koliko mnogo skupo za ne znam te lokalne opštine i ostalo, ali to je sad već druga priča.
Sa Glavonjićem. Super momak trenutno u Vojvodini, on je inače u Viramakiju završio fakultet za trenera hokeja, oni imaju fakultet u Finskoj.
Eto ti, na primjer, da.
I on mi je rekao da u Finskoj imaš zakon da ograda ne može bude starija od 5 godina. Znači na 5 godina, i kaže sa tim ogradama ne znaju šta će, znači to bi moglo da se nađe za smešne pare, samo treba napraviti krov na glavu.
Ali vidiš, ali o tome treba neko da razmišlja i da pokrene tu priču i da se ode. Ja se sjećam da je bila priča svojevremeno za Suboticu, pa je bilo toliko problema da se napravi dvorana za klizanje.
Samo krova jeba. Pardon.
I šta sad? Evo, mi pričamo o tome, ali ajde ne pričamo, da ne davimo.
Sestaj. Ajde samo da kažemo što se tiče regiona, još u IHL-u Zvezda je stigla do polufinala, protiv Slavije igrala, svaka čast momci, to stvarno ste se borili, kako je krenula sezona.
Još ispao na kraju sasvim okej, korektno.
Svaka čast momcima. Ja ih nisam video uopšte da mogu da prođu prvi krug play-offa, prošli su, igrali su protiv Slavije odlično, stvarno jedan lep događaj i samo nastavite tako. Sad treba da se odigra još finale Vojvodina Zvezda domaće lige, a u Hrvatskoj Sisak je prošao u finale. Mladost još uvek igra, protiv koga igraju sad mi je stao mozak, čoveče. Zagreba, protiv Zagreba, ko pobedi ide u finale, tamo hrvatske domaće lige.
To je sjajno, mislim da je to i velike čestitke svima koji se evo bore za ovaj sport i koji igraju i eto, neka bolje pobedi, da tako kažemo, u svim tim finalima.
Sada možda nešto da pređemo dalje, emisiju želimo da zovemo Olimpijski specijal, zbog gostiju znači bit će nam Reja koji je bio skills coach cijele sezone za kinesku ekipu koja je u KHL-u, koji su u suštini okosnica reprezentacije, jako zanimljiv intervju, on je ovde inače i ostao, sa Zvezdom je bio svo ovo vreme, trebao je da radi sa reprezentacijom, nešto se izjalovilo, tako je kako je, i bit će zlatni momci, dvojica sudija, moji jako dobri drugari sa kojima sam sudio u Americi, Bruggs i Billy, objasnit će vam i sa tim imenima u intervju šta i kako, jako zanimljiv intervju, sudili su utakmicu za zlatnu medalju, ali sad možemo da pogledamo sliku celog drveta play-off.
Kostora, da.
Pa, ajde Stefano, ćeš ti možda da kreneš neke utakmice koje su ti zapale za oko?
Pa mogu, mada možda ne na način na koji ti misliš, evo ja ću ti reći ovako. Pre svega mogu da ti pričam o ovoj utakmici između Rusa i Šveđana u polufinalu, koju sam ja gledao i koja je bila jako dosadna. Znači, onako, baš je bilo utakmica vrlo dosadna.
Zato što sam ja komentarisao, pa sam ti bio dosadan.
Doći ćemo i do toga. I znaš, uopšte nije imala taj osjećaj neki polufinala olimpijskih igara i to je, naravno, to je problem nedostatka NHL igrača, to je svakako i pre početka prvenstva već bilo onako i poznato i svima je bilo da kažem krivo što je to tako i onda kad vidiš taj, razumeš, finalni projekat koji je, finalni produkt koji, razumeš, to bi trebalo da je to, a ti gledaš i onako kao, pa znaš, nije mi ovo nešto, znaš. I onda se žal, razumeš, za tim najboljim igračima koji su ponovo propustili da budu tu iz razloga NHL lige, COVID epidemije, Međunarodnog olimpijskog komiteta, svega to šta se već desilo i tako to. Tako da, znaš, ne mogu da kažem da sam nešto preterano ispratio ceo turnir. To je utakmica, mislim, koju sam najviše pratio, zato što je bila i u nama pristupačnom terminu, to je bilo od 2 popodne. Šveđani su možda imali bolje šanse, ja mislim, u tom overtime-u, ali do kraja nisu uspeli da daju gol. Rusi su uspeli da nadvladaju, ja mislim, posle penala. I, znaš kako, finale...
Kostor je tu, Stefane, samo da...
Jasno, finale je bilo u nama nepristupačnom terminu i to ne samo nama, nego čitavoj Evropi, iako su se našle 2 evropske ekipe, oni su to verovatno gledali da naštimaju za severnoamerikance i to, međutim, kao što vidiš, njih nije bilo uopšte ni u polufinalu, a kamoli u finalu. I znaš kako, drago mi je da su Finci uzeli, Finci realno su možda i sigurno su među najuspešnijima na Olimpijskim igrama u zadnjih 20 godina. Ne znam sad 98. tačno šta su radili, ali nema ni veze. Tako da, znaš kako, fin je to splet događaja ovako što se tiče tih nacija i kako bi sad navijali ovako, onako i to slično. To je okej. Finci su i 2014. Rusima u Sočiju još bili pomrsili račune kad su dobili 3-1 četvrtfinale i to Rusi nisu uspeli sad da im se revanširaju, tako da eto, možda se tu rađa neko rivalstvo, a ne samo to klasično Finska-Švedska. A što se tebe tiče, ja moram da ti kažem ovako, ja sam gledao ceo turnir na Eurosportu i onda sam se u polufinalu negde u tom Rusija-Švedska setio, čekaj, kao možda Ivan radi, znaš, i to pa da prebacim na RTS, tako da sam te slušao tipa 20 minuta.
Smorio sam te za 20 minuta, je bilo dosta.
Ne, za 20 minuta se završilo. Inače sam sve živo gledao na Eurosportu zato što tamo bio, mislim, ja sam najviše gledao šta, gledao sam skijanje, čekao sam i ove naše koji su bili u 6 ujutru, tipa, gledao sam curling, gledao sam, svašta sam nešto gledao i tako to, ali sam turnir u hokeju mislim da sam manje ispratio nego neke druge sportove, što ti dovoljno priča o tome. I mom stavu, a mislim da nisam jedini koji na taj način razmišlja prilikom nedostatka NHL igrača, kako sve to izgleda.
Ja vidiš, ja imam, u nečemu se slažemo, ovo što pričaš da nije bio kvalitet hokeja kakav smo očekivali, ali s druge strane meni je zanimljivije kada NHL igrači nisu na olimpijskim igrama, jer je mnogo su rezultati bliži i ne znaš ko će pobediti. Znači, pazi, da su bili NHL igrači Slovačka, sigurno ne bi uzela bronzarnu medalju.
To je tačno, apsolutno.
Ovako, prva medalja na Olimpijskim igrama, svaka im čast, dečko koji ima 17 godina, možemo vidjeti sliku, MVP, on je stvarno MVP ovog turnira, 7 golova, svaka mu čast sa 17 godina, pazi, on je razlog zašto su Slovaci dobili bronzu, osvojili bronzu.
Kako beše, 7 golova, ali tako?
7 golova je dao, i on je pravi gol skor, on ti je tipa budući Ovečkin, znači 7 golova, 0 asistencija. I dečko ima u sebi to da šutira odakle god. Prvi gol za bronzarnu medalju, skroz negde iz ugla, golman nije ni očekivao, šut, pod prečku. Svaka mu čast i baš mi je drago za Slovake, velike čestitke, prva medalja u istoriji, isto kao i što je prva medalja za Fince u istoriji zlatna.
Tako je, prva zlatna sa Olimpijskih igara.
Da, i pre nego što te pitam nešto, Žuki, moram samo da ga bocem nešto.
Samo, naravno.
S obzirom da nismo videli ni Amerikance, ni Kanadjane, nisu radili ništa posebno i da nisu bili NHL igrači. Da li bi sada hteo da se desi World Cup of Canada na letu ili ne?
Pa ne.
I dalje ne bi voleo.
Pa mislim,
da vidiš najbolje protiv najboljih.
A to ti je, razumeš, to ti je jedna velika otimačina para, nije to ništa drugo, razumeš, to ti je organizovano tako da ti imaš eto nezavisno nešto što gde će zna se kod uzme pare, razumeš, ovi koji su sa NHL-ove strane, za razliku od Međunarodnog olimpijskog komiteta. I znaš kako, to mi je onako sve jedno, ok, lepo je ako ima ispratiću, ako ima nije to problem, ali evo je ovo malo pre što si ti pričao, mislim to bi se složili u suštini, ali Slovačka nije toliko udaljena, razumeš, mislim 12 godina i oni su realno slabiji nego što su tad bili, ali ti si imao Slovačku u polufinalu olimpijskog turnira sa NHL igračima, razumeš, gde ti imaš meč Slovačka-Kanada, gde s jedne strane, razumeš, Roberto Luongo, Sidney Crosby, ko je već bio tad, sve nije. I tako to, i Slovačku koja je u zadnjih 10 sekundi imala priliku da da gol za 3-3, Pavol Demitra mislim da je šutirao za 3-3 gde je bilo ono, razumeš, do poslednjeg daha. I sad, verujem ja da je u Slovačkoj to drugačije, znam otprilike kako je to kad oni nisu došli, pa kojih šiša nisu došli, nema veze, osvojili smo medalju, vrh, razumeš, slavlje i sve to, ali da su osvojili recimo tad bronzu, pošto nisu, bili su četvrti, Finci su bili treći, 2010. i sad, sigurno bi im ona bila mnogo draža.
Ona prva?
Da.
Sigurno kad su bili NHL igrači, ali za tebe, Žuki?
Pa eto, pa to ti kažem, ti sad kao, da, jeste, naravno. To ti kažem, razumeš, to ti smo vreme
ja i pričam, pa ti sad kao... Mislim, hokej je realno sport gde underdog ima najveće šanse da pobedi. Znaš, ti ako bocaš neki gol, napraviš bunker, radiš dobro bunker, znaš, teško je ubaciti paku gol. Ali, Žuki, aj priča nam o Rusima. Došli su do finala, nisu... Šta si imao u glavi tokom turnira i pre finalne utakmice?
Pa, znaš kako, evo, obzirom da su to uglavnom KHL igrači koje pratimo, nekako se ima u glavi da su Finci, što bi Stefan rekao, bili najkvalitetniji. Ja imam problem sa tim izborom igrača ruskih i sa izborom selektora i stalno su neki problemi, stalno se pojavljaju neki novi klinci i imam utisak da Rusi kad organizuju reprezentaciju kao nekad stara Jugoslavija nije neki ključ, ali ne znam, iz SKA mora da ide ovoliko igrača, iz CSKA mora da ide ovoliko igrača, su oni, bože moj, najbolji i imam utisak da nikad ne izaberu najbolju reprezentaciju, nego uvek moraš nekome nešto da ponudiš, da nekoga zadovoljiš i mislim da je to osnovni problem zbog kojeg oni nisu. Mislim da čak ovo nije ni način reprezentacije Rusije koja je bila, koja je mogla da se napravi, daleko od toga da nije bilo super kvalitetnih igrača, ali meni se čini da ima boljih. I zbog toga sam nekako pretpostavio da bi Finci zaista mogli da izađu, jer gledajući Fince u KHL-u, oni su dominantni, praktično Salavat Julajev je ispao zato što Finci nisu igrali. Prosto nema ko da gol, prosto su Finci, golmani finski su najbolji u KHL-u, napadači su finski najbolji u KHL-u, prosto taj kvalitet mora da izađe. Kad tad? Što se ostalih tiče, ja sam tebi pričao da ja nikad ne podcenjujem Slovake, prvo to je Čehoslovačka. Koliko god da su Česi dobri, Slovaci ne mogu da budu ne znam koliko slabiji. Možda se dogodi smena generacija, pa evo koliko je Stefan 2010. sad je 2022. godina, znači moralo je da prođe određeno vreme da se pojavi mali Slavkovski sa 17 godina da bi ponovo imali neku super zvezdu. Ali je meni mnogo drago jer Slovaci stvarno vole hokej, znaju da ga igraju i nisu, kažem, ništa slabiji od Čeha. Ako ako Čehije uvek uzimamo u obzir kao reprezentaciju koja će se boriti za medalju, da li će uzeti ili neće, pa dobro, evo sad su i oni verovatno malo pali, ali da računamo da ih uvek imaš Kanada, SAD, Rusija, Švedska, Finska
to je
to je top 5, ali si uvek dodavao bar ranije Čehe i Slovake. Znači ti imaš, zato ti kažem, to je znači nekih 7. Sad ti moraš da vodiš računa, posebno kad negdje NHL igrači o Švajcarskoj, o Nemačkoj, da li će Francuska.
Dobro, Švajcarska, ja mislim da je čak i sa NHL igračima, mislim, vrlo konkurentna.
Ali zato i kažem, to su neki timovi.
Je li Mjer? Ko? Je li i Mjer, Timo Mjer i Šarksa, i on je isto Švajcarac, tako?
Jeste,
i ovaj iz Detroita, Suter, da.
Ima i dosta.
Ali znaš šta je tu ranije? Ja se bar sećam tih nekih ranijih olimpijskih igara, tačno se znala razlika između ostalih i tog donjeg doma najjačeg ranga. Recimo, mi smo 84. kao stara Jugoslavija pobedili Italiju, koja je bila iznad nas 5-1 na Olimpijskim igrama i to je najveća pobeda Jugoslavije u istoriji. Ne pričamo o Sloveniji, nego o Jugoslaviji na Olimpijskim igrama. Tako da, meni je bilo vrlo zanimljivo i kao što si rekao, svako je svakog mogao da pobedi, kako god moglo da se završi na neki drugi način, ali mislim da je ovo i najkorektnije, da su Finci zaista bili najbolji, da su Rusi bili zaista drugi i da su Šveđani tu trebali praktično možda, mislim da je taj poraz u polufinalu Šveđane onako baš uzdrmao, ali nije Švedska, ne mogu da kažem kvalitet da je loš, nego nije ravan Fincima i mislim da u ovom trenutku nije bio ravan Rusima. Jako je bilo...
Tu se ne slažem.
Pa dobro, vidi, ne moramo da se složimo.
Ja sam baš kontra će Finci uzeti. To sam i u prenosu bio rekao da dajem prednost Fincima i iskreno sam mislio da će Šveđani dobiti Rusa u polufinalu. Nisu mogli da daju gol i to je to.
Ali moram da ti kažem, gledajući KHL, naravno ne mogu da gledam švedsku ligu, pošto je švedska liga jako dobra i kvalitetna, oni igraju i znam da je nekadašnji predsednik izričito bio da nikad neće igrati kontinentalnu hokejašku ligu, jer oni imaju svoje prvenstvo i moraju da brane svoje prvenstvo hokejaško. Nekako, obzirom da pričamo da je druga najjača liga KHL, zbog toga mi se činilo da će Rusi da pobede, na kraju jesu, ali nisu imali dovoljno snage i kvaliteta da postanu, da odbrane zlatnu medalju, što je njima zaista veliki udarac, jer njihovi igrači iz njihovih timova su im odneli ispred nosa zlatnu medalju.
Ja bih dodao da tu se pokazao da je KHL druga najjača liga na svetu tada. Znači sada ovoj problemi rat, Ukrajina,
ne pričamo o ovoj nastoj situaciji, naravno to.
Znači u trenutku kad se igrale Olimpijske igre, KHL je pokazao, ekipe koje su imali najviše KHL igrača su završili u finalu.
Nemoj da zaboraviš još jednu stvar, Jokerit sa finskim igrača je u KHL-u i bori se uvek za vrh. Nažalost, iz raznoraznih situacija ne igra play-off. To je sad viša sila, ali pored toga u ostali timovi, recimo Salavat Julajev, Hartikainen, jedan od najboljih centara, Maninen, zaboravio sam više sad ko je tu sve. Znači, oni mogu da naprave iz KHL-a dve reprezentacije, mislim na Fince, koji će da budu egali da se bore sa svima. Kao što je nekad stara jugoslovenska košarka mogla da napravi 3 reprezentacije i da u starim pravilima, uslovima bude dominantna, tako deluju Finci u odnosu na ostatak sveta, ne računajući NHL.
I bili su najkonkretniji od početka do kraja. Znači, ja nisam ido neke velike rupe, osim ona utakmica što je bilo što su Šveđani vodili 3-0 u regularnom, ali su se vratili, pobedili su.
To sam teo da ti kažem, a to je odraz kvaliteta i samopouzdanja. Da
se vratiš sa 3-0 i da pobediš utakmicu.
Moram da te pitam još jednu stvar. Kako je tebi izgledalo kad si radio i prenosio u rane jutarnje čase?
Ko da nisam napravio pauzu od komentarisanja, baš onako lepo sam se osjećao i brzo sam se vratio. Mislim da stvarno da sam radio ok posao.
Ja se slažem s tobom, da. Izvuku si stvar.
Nije da se hvalim, ali mislim da je stvarno bilo kako
treba. Ne, baš kako treba.
Što se tiče Rusa, mislim da je Rusima najveći problem bio nisu imali gol skorera. Znači, Kovaljčuk koji je bio zajedno sa Kapricovim koji su postizali 5-6 golova, nije ih bilo. Gusev nije doneo poena koliko treba.
Nikita Gusev je u padu, Šipačio
ništa nije uradio. Najbolji poenter u KHL-u.
Jeste, ali je druga stvar kad igraš u Dinamu iz Moskve, gde si si glavni baja, a druga je stvar kad dođeš u reprezentaciju gde bi trebao da budeš jedan od vođa.
Pa, svi su na njega očima.
Znam, ja ti stalno pominjem, mene je duša boli što trojka, Panarin, Dadionov i Šipačijov nisu igrali u jednom timu u NHL-u. Dajem primer, samo ne kažem da to treba da bude. Svako je, jednostavno, kažem ti, previše, ja moram da zadovoljim SKA, ja moram da zadovoljim CSKA, moram da zadovoljim, ne znam, ovoga ili onoga i tu nema tog kvaliteta. Stalno menjaju trenere, stalno neki novi trener, stalno neko koji je zaslužni majstor sporta dolazi da bi nešto radio. Ne ide to tako. Kad je Znarjuk bio, nije ni Znarjuk sjajno vodio. Nemci su trebali da osvoje zlatnu olimpijsku medalju pa su na volšeban način izgubili. Ali je on osvojio, čovjek je pobednik. Ne razumem to mijenjanje stalno i stalna potreba.
Ovaj golman im bio okosnica ekipe prošle olimpijske igre. Sad je u KHL opet ima prosek stvarno dobar, nisu ga zvali na olimpijske igre. Znači, zašto ići sa mladim kad imaš iskusno koji ti već osvojio zlato i ima dobar procenat?
To je sad već stvar Saveza Ruskog i ne znam njihovih fantazija ili već snova, šta oni žele, kako oni žele, tako da, a da imaju kvalitetnih igrača na izvoz, zaista imaju. Pa.
To se sve slažem, ali mislim da su zasluženo Finci osvojili prvo zlato.
Apsolutno i mogu ti reći da nekako mi iz ovih krajeva imamo, ajde, ja neću kažem pored Rusa, nekada smo volili onoj čuveni Sovjetski savez, ona KLM mašina, ali nekako sad svi navijaju za Fince, jer su Finci nekako dali poseban čar tim igrama za državni tim i biju se i igraju prelep hokej, imaju sjajnog golmana, zaista sve ono što mi volimo da radimo ovde na ovim prostorima.
Samo bih dodao da Slavkovski pre ovih olimpijskih igara je se rangirao između 4. i 8. mesta na ovom draftu koji dolazi ovog leta. Sada ne bi me čudilo bude prvi ili drugi.
Pa, znaš kako, ipak je on Slovak, jeste, osvojio bronzanu medalju, bio najbolji strelac, ali mislim da tu ima još kvaliteta, to će Stefan bolje da kaže, kanadsko-američkih koji bi mogli da budu, znaš, ispred njega.
Dobro, ima Wright koji je top, ali on nije takav goal scorer kao Slavkovski.
Pa znaš kako, iskreno nije neka godina, nije da imaš nekog prospekta koji se najavljaju godinama unazad, razumeš, za razliku od, na primjer, ako je to do godine ili one čak tamo godine kad treba da dođe Conor Bedard, i to ova godina nije toliko jaka, tako da on može da bude tu negde pri vrhu. I mislim, generalno evropski igrači hoće tako nakon jakih internacionalnih nastupa da se dignu u tim rankinzima. Naprimjer, Patrick Laine i Jesse Puljujarvi, oni su imali dosta jaku, razumeš, tu sezonu pred sam draft kad su igrali na juniorskom prvenstvu, a mislim čak i na seniorskom prvenstvu da je Patrick Laine igrao i da je bio neverovatan, da je dao nešto mnogo golova i tako to. I on se tu odjedanput, razumeš, stvorio u konverzaciji ne samo za to drugo mesto, on je draftovan kao drugi, nego čak možda ispred Matthewsa, možda i tako to. Na kraju nije bilo, ali svakako ga je to povuklo na gore. Mislim, Puljujarvi mislim da je bio 4. pik, da je Pierre-Luc Dubois bio 3. Ali i on je možda čak bio u sličnoj toj nekoj priči, možda i on i tako to, naročito pre nego što je Laine imao tu, da kažem, nenormalno dobru formu pred sam draft. Tako da hoću to, mislim, mene ne bi čudilo da on ode nakon ovakvog nastupa MVP Olimpijskih igara, nije mala stvar.
Ali da li postoji granica za godinu, on ima 17 godina?
Ne, ova godina mu je
sad
za draft, da. Ćemo još nešto za muški turnir ili...
Pa mislim da je to sve rečeno, Slovaci kao najprijatnije iznenađenje, neprijatno Kanada i SAD. Možda sam više očekivao od Nemaca i Švajcaraca, da kažem, ali eto...
Švajcarci su imali malo onako stariju ekipu, ti kad vidiš taj roster i tako to sve neki onako...
ali oni su mi igrali kao što sam očekivao dok su mi Nemci kiksnuli.
Pa mislim da su Nemci uz, kažem, Kanadu najveće razočaranje ovog svetskog prvenstva i da dobih to Amerikance koji su eto imali kao.
Mislim, pazi, koliko god su Nemci bili iznenađenje prošli put i to suludo iznenađenje, a ovaj put su kiksnuli. I golmani, znači nekoliko golmana, 95-96% odbranu.
Pa vidi, da bi mogao da osvojiš zlatnu medalju, moraš da imaš najbolje golmana.
Pa dobro, ali znaš, i da imaš 92%, znaš, ti treba budeš srećan, imamo 96,5 ovaj Hari iz Finske. Prešao bi na žene. Neverovatno.
Da, na olimpijski turnir za žene, da kažemo, da. Izvini, kad kažeš prešao bi na žene, svi bi prešli na žene, ali moramo da držimo teme, pazi, znaš.
Da, na olimpijski turnir za žene.
Čekaj, žena ti ne gleda.
Ovo će da pogleda, ima nas. Paulin.
Pulan.
Pulan se kaže.
Da.
Dobro, nisam znao.
Tako kažu.
Dobro, okej, hvala.
Zato si ti tu, prijatelju, izvini.
Nije, nego stvarno mora da se pomene, razumeš, onako sad, evo pazi,
kako
moguće
se celo ime?
Mary Filipolan, ja tako kažem, tako da možda ja možda ja negde grešim i tako to, ali iz poštovanja čisto, to mora s poštovanjem da se kaže.
Nego šta, ne samo da prelazimo na ženu. Možemo da pređemo i na sliku. Ona je prva u istoriji koja je postigla gol u 4 uzastopne utakmice finala Olimpijskih igara i od toga 3 puta je čak bio game winning goal. Znači u Vancouveru je postigla 2 gola za pobedu Kanade 2-0 protiv Amerike. 2014. u Sočiju je postigla gol za iznačenje koje je vodio u produžetke i gol u produžetku za 3-2 nad Amerikom, naravno opet. 2018. u Pyeongchangu gol za vodstvo 2-1, ali su na penali izgubili od Amerikanaca, znači tu bi bila game winning gol i sada u Pekingu je postigla drugi i treći gol za pobedu Kanade.
Htela ona i 2018. samo se nije dalo.
Nisu je dali.
Da, pa eto vidiš, nešto se izjalovilo vamo nazad, razumeš, primili su taj drugi gol i onda u penalima ne sećam se baš da li da dala gol i tamo moguće, krajnje, ali neverovatno, stvarno, to je takav primer klač igrača, da je to neverovatno. Znači, ti u bilo kom drugom sportu mislim da nemaš taj primer, da svako finale Olimpijskih igara ili finale bilo čega, ti znaš da je ona tu i ona odradi svoj posao, znači ona čuo si, znači 12 godina. Ali pazi, ne samo što je to, razumeš, što se već desilo, nego ona i mlada, ona ja mislim da je sa 18 godina igrala u Vancouveru.
Da, ovo su 4. olimpijske igre.
Ovo su 4. olimpijske igre.
4 godine, 16 godina već.
Da, ona realno ima još možda sigurno jedne, a možda i čak i dva olimpijska ciklusa tu, razumeš?
Teško.
Pa ne znam, mislim, znaš kako, 34 godine, ok, 38 već tu i tamo, ali...
Ako razmišlja detetu, znači jedino sada da napravi dete pa da se vrati.
Ali dobro, ali znaš šta?
Dobro, ali mislim, igraju i s decom tako, znaš kako, nisu svi ko Ashley Barty, razumeš?
Ali nije to kao ranije, znaš, sad je to sve mnogo modernije, mnogo lakše. Pa ne, i brže se oporavljaš i brže se privikavaš na nove stvari, ona je fizički potpuno spremna, ne bi ovako igrala da nije fizički spremna i ovo što Stefan kaže. Ja verujem da bi mogla da odigra još jedan ciklus, ali za 2 mislim da ipak malo previše i njoj, mada ko zna kako se ljudi u sportu sad ponašaju, evo Tom Brady se vraća iz penzije, to su neverovatne stvari, koliko to Forman je boksovo sa 45 godina, ljudi, znate šta je to, i to ozbiljno boksovo, to su neverovatni heroji, što bi rekli ljudi.
A problem je u tome što ja ne znam koliko godina je imala Hailey Wickenheiser kad je igrala poslednji put na Olimpijskim igrama, ja mislim da je imala preko 35, ali nisam siguran baš 38 i tako to, kao mislim, ona važi za jednu od najvećih svih vremena i tako to i ona je relativno skoro otišla u penziju, neprimljena i u kuću slavnih i tako to. I mislim da Mary Filipolan sigurno će biti u kući slavnih, samo kad pitanje, ali mislim da je tamo da su otvorena sva vrata.
Ali zaista je treba pohvaliti jer to je nešto neviđeno, to mislim da niko nikad nije uradio, posebno ne u nekom ekipnom sportu.
Da, ali pazi, ti samo da daš gol na svakom finalnom meču. Prvo da uđeš 4 puta uzastopno u finale, onda da daš gol...
Dobro, tu mislim da im je olakšano, zato što tu zna ko će biti prvi, drugi, to nije...
To se zna, ali sve jedno, znači izuzetak je stvarno na sportskoj sceni.
Slažem se.
I da postigne game winning goal 3 puta.
Svaki put.
Znači, to je neverovatno. Pazi, sledeće olimpijske igre samo da je staviš na klupu da bude u 4. postavi dovoljno ti ono za...
I daće gol. Daće game winning goal.
Daš game winning u 3. trećini. Imaš nešto za olimpijske igre?
Pa mislim da je to.
Pa dobro, čekaj, ja mislim da su Finkinje uzele bronzu. Mislim da je
to... Pa to je standardno.
A dobro, ali opet treba pomenuti to da je Finska jedina uzela 2 medalje.
Evo, vidimo je kako ima plave okice.
Da, i ovo je baš podatak koji mi stalno pominjamo, to su nevjerojatni i zato ova koza stoji da ne bude da je neko vređa GOAT, to su baš za specifičan, zaista najbolje među najboljima.
Apsolutno. U NHL-u prošle su, ovaj All-Star meč je bio nešto posle naše zadnje emisije, ne bih puno vremena trošio, ali ono breakaway challenge, ono što je Zigra su radio, to moramo da pričamo.
Dobro, ali ja moram ti kažem, ja ne volim te All-Star mečeve, zato što...
Ja ih nisam gledao sam highlights.
Znaš, pravo da ti kažem, meni je to dosadno, moram priznati, meni lično, ja više volim uzbuđenje kada dođe one prave stvari, kada dođe playoff, ali to sam ja, ne mora da znači da ljudi to ne vole.
Skills challenge je uzbudljiviji nego samo All-Star i taj ceo koncept, tako da to je realno nešto o čemu bi pričao, kao što u NBA-u pričaš ono takmičenje o trojkama
ili zakucavanju, tako je,
a samo All-Star bez veze, ovo imaju neki novi koncept u NBA-u, All-Staru nismo tu da pričamo o NBA-u, ali tu su prve 3/4 ono igraju 50-50, razumeš, ti meni daš koš pa ja tebi, razumeš, bez veze totalno. Ovaj NHL je napravio malo kompetitivniji sistem i tako to, ali opet nije to toliko interesantno.
Ali ono što je Zigra su radio, jeste videli?
Video sam, ali znaš šta treba da uradi? Treba do godine da naprave Rusi protiv sveta. Veruj mi, to bi gledali, znaš kako bi gledali?
Da, ali bi isključili, znaš, možda isključili. Čudi me da ih još nisu izbacili iz NHL ekipa.
Pa, više nije sponzor Ovečkina.
Znam sve, maltene skoro sve sponzore.
Sve Ruse, da.
Pa da, nego prosto ovo što si rekao je jako dobra stvar, to bi bilo interesantnije nego da...
Nismo rekli samo za internacionalne scene, da su Ruse i Belorusi izbacili sa svih takmičenja.
Da, to smo zaboravili.
Tako da su poslednji voz uhvatili Rusi da stignu do finala, da uzmu bronzu na Olimpijskim igrama, jer više nema ih na IHF.
Dok se nešto ne desi, dok se nešto ne završi.
To je nekako bilo možda i, znaš kako je planirano, nekako za vreme Olimpijskih igara nema ratovanja i tako to još onda iz drevne Grčke, pa onda...
A za vreme 40-ih?
Ej,
da ne
nije počelo za vreme Olimpijskih igara, počelo je ranije, samo se otkazalo.
U svakom slučaju ja bih rekao samo 3 stvari. Gol Zigra sa povezom na očima, da se izvrti, da mu je pak na štapu i da šutne, da da gol. Ja ne znam da sam ikada video lepši gol.
Misliš da mu se posrećilo kad je to uradio posle vrtenja?
Ja sam gledao njegove treninge dok je vežba to da uradi. I mislim, stvarno mu je trebalo vremena da navežba. Samo ti da šutneš pak tako sa zaveždanim očima bi bilo čudo, ali on je postigao i gol. Verovatno je golman malo pustio.
Nema veze, ali da ti kažem.
Mislim, sramota je da je Petrangelo uzeo taj challenge kao ovi lupali i bubnjevima. Znači, nemojte me zezati, sramota za ligu. Ono što mi je iznenađenje kao i Rude je pobedio na brzom klizanju. Znači...
Uvek se tako neko pojavi da ti kažem neko koga ne očekuješ da je najbrži.
Da, ali recimo Hedman 103 milija na sat, to se očekivalo.
Jeste. Put 1,60 i koliko beše 2-3 da se prebaci u kilometre na čas, tako da...
Žuki, moramo da nastavimo s tobom Ovečkin, 772 gola.
Pa ja sam ti rekao, ja navijam i ja mislim da će on igrati dokle god ne bude srušio, ako ga puste, evo sad pod ovim novim uslovima, da sruši Vejna Greckog, ne da bude drugi, ne da bude treći kao što je sada, već da bude prvi. Mislim da je to cilj svih u iskrenih ljubitelja hokeja na ledu, da Ovečkin postaje najbolji strelac, jer mislim da to zaslužuje. I svojim igrama i svojim ponašanjem, sad, kažem, mnogo toga se dešava mimo njegove volje, mimo naše volje, tako da vidjet ćemo dok će to da se... Ali ja lično mislim da će on probati da igra dokle god bude mogao da igra, da se sruši taj rekord. I mislim da su čak negde i u Capitalsima da računaju sa tim, jer, ne znam, evo, nisu baš najbolji u ovom delu, mada možda će ponovo ući u formu, pa će možda ponovo početi da pobeđuju, to je jako teško i borbi za play-off, vidjet ćemo kako će da se to dogodi i šta će se događati na kraju, ali meni je mnogo drago, ja bih zaista volao da Ovečkin sruši taj rekord. Vejna Greckog, eto čisto kažem.
Da 29 golova mu ostalo do Gordi Hova i 122 gola da sruši Vejna Greckog, tako da očekujemo sledeće sezone da sruši Hova, Mr. Hokija, Greckog možda za 3-4 sezone, ako nastavi ovim ritmom, da malo će da uspori sigurno.
Pa sigurno, da.
Ali
mislim, to nije...
I pored svih ovih pritisaka.
Samo da ti kažem, to možda nije realno u ovom trenutku da se sruši, ali treba težiti toj nerealnošću, treba sanjati i ja očekujem da Ovečkin proba da sruši taj rekord.
Stefane?
Znaš kako, to su vanvremenski igrači, ti svake, mislim, evo sad smo u martu,
ima još, tako je.
Da, ti imaš sad onu situaciju, znaš, prošla je gotovo cijela sezona, ono, više od 3/4 sezone, i to i ti sad u fazonu, ako kad vidiš rang listu tu svih vremena i tako to, i kad vidiš kako Ovečkin igrati i kažeš malagano, razumeš. Ali opet nekako pred svaki oktobar i pred svaki novi početak, znaš, javlja se to pitanje kao da li će možda usporiti sad, da li će sad, i on uporno, znaš, odbija da uspori, ali jednog dana će morati jednostavno, tako da trenutno deluje da će on prestići bez problema Vejna Greckog, ali opet ima vremena, znaš kako.
Ja nisam očekivao ovakvu sezonu. Ja sam očekivao tipa 30 golova za celu sezonu i to je to.
Ali nije 30, malo je za njega 30.
A da kažem, to 35, mislim da se možda čak i u nekoj emisiji.
40 je granica za njega onako 30, ipak 30 sad daju raznorazni.
Pa ne, ali zaista kad uporediš Ovečkina i ostale, kad on da 30 golova, ti možda smatraš da mu to nije uspešna sezona po broju datih golova.
Pa dobro, ali mu je ovo jedna od boljih.
Pa dobro,
ali već kad pričamo o konkurentima, Crosby je postigao svoj 500. gol, nedavno imamo i sliku za to i kao sad slavlje, ludilo, inače krvljaju se, igraće sad uskoro utakmicu i obojica su na 2 boda do 1400 poena.
Znači, ko će prvi? Ali ovo je fenomenalna stvar.
Pazi, Crosby 500. gol 6 godina kasnije od Ovečkina. Ali ove igrice sa brojevima, ko što možete vidite na ovoj slici
8.7.87. nosi broj 87, godišnje zarađuje 8,7 miliona, postigao je 50. gol protiv Filadelfije u 50. utakmici u sezoni. Na Jagrov 50. rođendan. Da, to mislim potpuno ludilo, stvarno kad se tako brojke poklope. Znaš kako? Ne mogu si da budu Ovečki, ne mogu si da budu Wayne Gretzky, ali Sidney Crosby je Sid the Kid.
On je vanserijski igrač. Možemo vidjeti sliku sa asistencijama da ti pričaš dalje njemu.
Meni je, kako da ti objasnim to, ja mnogo volim Ovečkina, ali nekako mi je draži Sid the Kid, zato što mislim da je svestraniji igrač i da je kvalitetniji igrač od Ovečkina u nekom širokom smislu. Ne mislim sad po broju golova i ostalo. Prosto imam utisak da je Sidney Crosby kompletniji i da njegova ekipa, u ostalom, Ovečki ima samo jednu titulu, a Sidney Crosby je uspeo da ga nadmaši u tome. Uz njega su svi ostali igrači bolji, evo Evgenij Malkin.
Ali ga je Vala proslavio Ovečkin bolje nego sve titule od Crosbya.
Pa dobro, jeste, ali vidi, seti se tih titula, ti navijaš za Pittsburgh Penguinse, kojim je bio najveća prepreka da bi osvojili titulu?
Capitalsi.
Upravo to, znači postoji taj rivalitet između njih dvojice, postoji rivalitet između 2 grada, 2 tima i to je nešto najlepše što može da se dogodi i zato mislim da je veličina Sida the Kida ogromna. I mislim da je, po meni je on bolji od Ovečkina kao kompletni hokejaš. Ne...
Ovečkin ima hic i golove, a Crosby je
sve ima, pazi.
Sve moguće.
Ima magiju. Pa dobro, znaš, i ne trebaju super zvezde da se bore. Seti se enforceri kakvi su, postoje da bi...
Pričat ćemo jednom takvim igračima.
Ne, okej, kad bude došao na red, ali hoću ti kažem, te zvezde su imale svoje telohranitelje na ledu.
Naravno. Ovečkin dovoljan sam sebi za telohranitelje. Šta bih rekao za ove...
To je moje mišljenje da se kažem.
I Ovečkina i sve.
Meni je ovaj infografik čudan, razumeš? Mislim, meni je to nekako uvek jako čudno kad imaš tako te podele i sad Sidak je dao 500 golova, u redu. Ko je asistirao na koliko golova? Chris Kunić 58. Nemoj da lažeš, kako samo 58? To je nemoguće. Zato što Chris Kunić i Crosby su godinama bili gledani ono ovako. Kunić otišao na Olimpijske igre zbog Crosbya. Dao gol u finalu Olimpijskih igara zbog Crosbya, razumeš? I on je 58 golova asistirao. To je meni neverovatno kako je to
moraš da odeš na hockey referenci da čekiraš.
Pa, znaš, neverovatno mali broj, znaš, i ne samo on, i ti neki igrači koji se vezuju onako u skrodu, Pascal Dupuis i nešto, jedva te razumeš 40 ili koliko Brian Russ, Conor Sheary 19. Ti igrači su ono, znaš, bukvalno kao Conor Sheary, on je...
Igrali su u postavi.
On je produkt Sidnija Crosby i sad on je asistirao 19 golova. Pa koliko si da Kid njemu asistirao? Ili ima taj infografik? Sigurno više, razumeš?
Pa on je više razigrava.
Ne, ali eto, to mogu ti kažem šta je tu interesantno. Ja znam, kad je Sid the Kid draftovan, on je igrao negde tamo u
MJ.
Da, u Quebec Major Junior. I njegov saigrač neki, apsolutno nebitan, ima neke neverovatne brojke, neke skoro pa rekordne brojeve golova i tako to, i onda ti vidiš par godina kasnije Sid the Kid, NHL MVP, a taj lik igra za neku ekipu radio 102,3 MHz, razumiješ i tako to. I sad koliko je Sid the Kid u stvari dominantan bio da jednog lika koji posle nije mogao, znaš, da izvuče bilo šta drugo nego da igra za ekipu.
A bio je najbolji.
To je najveća razlika. Sid the Kid, on stvara drugi igrače. On poboljšava drugi igrače oko sebe, dok Ovečkin poboljšava sebe i ekipu to što daje više golova. Ali kogod je igrao u postavi sa Crosbyjem je postao bolji. Širija si rekao, Kunica si rekao, Gencel je produkt isto Crosbya, tako da to je najveća razlika između njih.
Pa dobro, evo da ga nazovemo pravi playmaker, usto je i dobar strelac. Ostalom, on je doneo zlatnu olimpijsku medalju u Vancouveru, Kanadi. Jedna od najlepših utakmica koje sam ja gledao.
I jedini ruk koji je imao 100 poena i 100 penalty minuta u prosjeku.
Ali znaš šta je interesantno? Evo, pored ovolikih zvezda, mladi koji su došli, mi dalje pričamo o jednom Ovečkinu, o jednom Crosby, o jednom Malkinu, o jednom Čari, Hari, nije ni važno kako ga zove. Pa ne, okej, ali hoću ti kažem da koliko su stvari oni veliki igrači. Zbog toga.
To je neuspeh NHL ligi, ja uvek kažem to bi trebalo da se menja, ali ne menja se zato što NHL liga ne zna da radi marketing mladim igračima i to je jako bez veze. Ali dobro, šta je tu je?
Jer digli su hype za Lafreniera, će biti novi Crosby, pa šta se desilo?
A dobro, dečko ima 20 godina, mislim, ima vremena. Pa sve stoji i tako to, ali Crosby je imao svoju ekipu, razumeš, a Lafrenier je došao u ekipu gde ti imaš već Panarina, gde imaš Krajdera, gde imaš ovog, gde imaš onog. I tako to, dečko ne igra power play, on je tipa skoro, ja mislim, zabeležio svoj prvi power play pojen ikad. Sidakid je mogao da igra 60 minuta ako hoće, razumeš, bio Pittsburgh u raspadu, ono, totalno. Kad je on došao.
Ali doveo ih na vrh.
Ne, velika je razlika, svakako razumeš, Lafrenier nije pokazao još uvek, ali mlad je dečko, znaš kako, evo Jack Hughes isto nije pokazao mnogo prvih godinu, dve, sad je, boga mi, Jack Hughes opasan.
25-6 golova. Mislim, ja sam najavljivao da mu treba više vremena.
Jeste, ali znaš šta je problem, to isto, zavisi gde dopadneš.
A jest.
Znaš, Pittsburgh nije isto Penguins, bez obzira što mi imamo te afinitete prema Penguinsima, dođeš u New York Rangerse, znaš šta znači biti član New York Rangersa? Pa to, ti si bog, ti si bog na zemlji.
Znaš šta mislim šta je jako bitna karika njegove karijere Crosbyjeve? On je godinama živeo sa Lemieuxom, u njegove kuće živeo.
Da.
I mislim da je to definisalo njegovu karijeru.
Pa dobro, sigurno, apsolutno.
Je spasao franšizu, Pittsburgh Penguinsi su bili u dugovima pre nego što on uzeo tu ekipu, tako da.
I napravio šampionsku ekipu, slažem se.
Šta ćemo kažemo za Raska?
Ništa, čestitke, sretan odlazak u penziju i to je to.
Proboje nije išlo i to je to.
Nije mogao se poraviti posle operacije kuka i mislim da je stvar. A šta ćeš da kažeš za ovo?
Pa meni je to super.
Sad imaš više pobjeda nego pre, to je tako pa je tako.
Ne, što je draftovan od Toronto.
To je to, šta? Draftovanje od strane Toronto ga poslao za ovog...
Nekog golma,
Andrew Raycroft, da. A Raycroft bio ruki godine, razumeš, i tako to je delovalo kao okej ideja, razumeš, Toronto izabrao, imao 2 mlada golmana u pogonu, bio tu Karask, bio je Justin Pogue, oni su izabrali Pogue, posle ima neke snimke onako vrlo čudne, onako nervozan golman bio, on je jedva igrao u NHL-u, ali negde u Evropi je pravio neke ludosti malo. I tako da su loše izabrali, ali to je onako najmračniji period Toronta kad je bio John Ferguson Jr. generalni menadžer koji je bio onako jako loš u svemu što je radio, tako da to ne čudi. A što se broja pobjeda tiče, broj pobjeda ko broj pobjeda, sad ih ima više, razumeš, kao što je recimo, ajde Martin Brodeur, on već nekako ne mogu da ga svrstam u tu ekipu, ali na primjer da nemaš ovaj shootout, da nemaš penale, da nemaš to razigravanje, ne bi ovi novi golman imali toliko pobjeda u odnosu na pa eto i Brodura koji ipak zagrizo 5-6 godina u tu eru penala i
u novu eru,
u novu eru, a kamoli na one stare majstore tipa Hašek i onda još ranije golmane Canadiensa i slično.
Dobro, da pređemo na Eichela. 14 bodova, 20 utakmica, skor -3, Vegas se raspada realno. Mislim, ja sam na početku sezone još pričao da oni nisu svrstavali u top 3-4 pika da će osvojiti Stanley Cup, još tad sam rekao da to nema šanse. Trenutno se bore da budu u play-offu uopšte. Eichel kod je napravio novi Buffalo, pa šta mislite o tome?
Pa Vegas ima većih problema, znaš kako, u odnosu na Eichela je tako to, mislim da oni čak možda nisu ni za ovu godinu toliko spremni koliko su oni gradili nešto za neke naredne sezone, jer realno mnogo povreda imaju i Riley Smith je bio povređivan i Mark Stone je bio povređivan a znaš kako, ok, to zbog cap hita kad si ti Tampa pa si ti prvi u diviziji pa te boli uvo, razumeš, ili kad si već osvojio Stanley Cup, a kad ti visi play-off, kad si ti tu negde na 8 ili 10 mesto, ne možeš tu baš, znaš, zbog hita da kažeš, ajde ti, iako si najbolji igrač, iako ti primaš platu 6, 7, 8 miliona i tako to, ajde ti odmori pa kad dođe play-off, ako dođe onda se vidimo, nije to. Imaš Mark Stone-a, problemi s povredama, Robin Lehner problemi sa povredama, Riley Smith, Eichel isto dugo nije igrao, evo oni sad ova saga
Martinez.
Da, Alek Martinez nije igrao.
Si sad skoro vratio, tako je.
I možda će morati da gašti.
I to, imao si sad ovu situaciju sa Dadonovim koja je ispala onako jedna od bizarnih situacija u zadnje vreme, to se nije dešavalo da on tradovan i da se onda naknadno videlo da on ima no trade clause gde ne može da ode u Anaheim, pa je liga to poništila i to, ali Dadonov proigrao tad, dao je i game winner u produžetku.
Ja njega gotim koji igrača. Mislim da je underrated u toj ekipi.
Apsolutno, Dadonov, kako se inače pravilno izgovarali, Dadonov nije nikakav problem. Kažem, ja ga znam iz KHL-a sa Šipačevim i sa Panarinom, to je, ne smeš da napraviš prekršaj. Ljudi su tako dobro igrali power play da je to neverovatno. I Dadonov je uvek bio centar. Znači, uvek je bio tu, a ovi su ga trpali sa asistencijama da je to potpuno. On je ekstremno dobar igrač i zato kažem, mnogo mi je žao što njih trojica zajedno nisu bili upareni. U nekom trenutku to bi bila ludnica kako su igrali power play. Ja
mislim da je Vegas se malo zeznuo u tome što mislili su, malo opušteno, mi ćemo u play-off i onda ćemo mi da zeznamo taj cap hit ko što je Tampa zadnje 2 sezone i sad je malo frkica.
Pa dobro, da ti kažem...
Kako nekog slagati da je na long term injury listi, kako namestiti ekipu da dođe do play-offa, znaš, oni su bili, stižemo u play-off, onda ćemo imati sve, mi uzimamo titul.
Lično mislim da se malo zazna. Jeste, ali ako uđu u play-off, možda bude svašta, to stalno pričamo, ali
ja i dalje ne mislim.
Ali da li mogu da uđu u play-off, to je isto veliko pitanje.
Roka će se samo kraja sa Dallasom,
tačno.
Znači 100%, da li će ući u play-off, sasvim moguće, da će proći prvu rundu, ne verujem. To je moje lično mišljenje.
Pa vidjet ćemo, ostalom, da.
Eto, a možda će Aikil konačno moći da zaigra u play-off. Pazi, situaciju kao što Aikil nikad nije igrao u play-offu, Flower je pobegao, sad kad pričamo o Vegas, iz Chicaga i opet će da igra play-off, pošto Wild ulazi u play-off, osvojio je prvu pobedu u Wildu.
U novom dresu, da.
Pozdrav za Kneževića, velikog našeg fana i fana Wilda, on je isto oduševljen sa ovim tradeom. Kako vidite taj trade? Koja je to sezona Flowera? 18. 19. kada je zaredom u play-offu? To je valjda rekord lige.
Pa on je 2003. draftovan, je li tako?
Pa 19.
zaradom da je u play-off.
Da, ali nevjerovatno koliko je on dobar golman i mislim da je to...
Mislim da nije igrao sve, ali...
Jeste 100%, svake godine u play-off.
Ali da ti kažem...
Pazi, njega draftao Pittsburgh sigurno nije igrao play-off tad 2003. Oni su bili u raspadu, tako da vjerojatno nije igrao baš kao ruke. I golman i onako ne igraju baš kao ruke.
Pogledaj na Elite Prospektu.
Od onog lockouta...
Nemaš. Nemam, telefon mi je tamo.
Od onog lockouta i recimo Sidakidove druge sezone možda. Ja mislim da prvu nisu ušli u play-off, a drugu su već bili ekstremno konkurentni. Mislim da je od tad.
Pa dobro, da li je 18 ili 19, mislim, jeste razlika od dana, ali to je nevjerovatan uspeh i mislim da je to super posao za Minnesota. To je ono što je najvažnija stvar, da se poklope kockice i da Minnesota sad ima nekog u koga apsolutno možeš da veruješ, imaš samopouzdanje da onda možeš još bolje da napadaš, čak i kad su situacije 3-2 ili 2-1, kada se braniš, imaš sigurnost da će golman da to uglavnom odbraniti.
Eto, Talbot bio prva zvezda prošle nedelje.
Da, ali ja i dalje ne volim tu situaciju da su kako one napustili da ode u Sharkse, meni je on bio top prospekt onako za budućnost.
Pa da, ali ne možeš da imaš, ali ne možeš da imaš sve.
Pa ja bih pustio Talbota.
Pa, ali to si ti. O tome se radi.
Da sam ja ovde, oni su tamo.
Na primer.
Ja samo razmišljam da bi Flower mnogo više uticao na Kakonena i da je to dugoročno. Imaš golmana koji bi se stvorio,
oni ne idu na dugoročno. Ne, oni idu da osvoje.
Tako je. Ja mislim da neće.
To je druga stvar. Ja ti kažem, to ćemo da vidimo. U hokeju, sam se rekao, u hokeju je sve moguće, ali kad imaš tako dobrog čuvara mreže, mislim da je i imaš dobru zamenu kakav je Talbot, mislim da su onda oni odradili posao za play-off.
Konačno na golmanskoj poziciji su sigurni.
Apsolutno.
I dalje ne mislim da će proći drugu rundu.
Pa dobro, da vidimo.
Šta ti misliš, Stefan?
Ja sam pričao, već razumeš o tome i dalje mislim da to važi. Zapad je slabiji nego istok.
Mnogo.
Znaš, i ti kad vidiš samo na osnovu toga u prethodnih par sezona koja je sve bio u Stanley Cup finalu i to vidiš koja je raznovrsnost na zapadu. A znaš, zato što nemaš dominantnu ekipu. Prošle godine nijedna ekipa...
Colorado ima... Čekaj, istok ili zapad?
Zapad.
Colorado ima najviše bodova.
Ne, jeste, ali prošle godine Colorado je bio favorit, pa ništa nije uradio.
Razumeš, Colorado nema nijednu Stanley Cup finale. Prošle godine nijedna ekipa sa zapada nije bila u Stanley Cup finalu.
Da je slučajno, mislim...
Ne, naravno. Jer, realno, pre toga je bio Dallas, koji se sad kolje za play-off, razumiješ? Vegas koji se kolje za play-off, St. Louis Blues koji su osvojili, pa onda posle nisu ušli u play-off. Sharksi koji su pali nakon toga totalno, Nashville koji eto sad je dobar, ali oni su bili u nekom padu i to. I čim toliko fluktuiraju ekipe, razumeš? Čim toliko, razumeš, ima tih promena ne na vrhu, nego na tom pobedničkom postolju zapadne konferencije, znači da je to mnogo ujednačenije i tako to nego Istok. I sama ta činjenica, Istok je osvojio zadnjih 6 od 7, ja mislim, Stanley Kupova, jel tako? Imao si Pittsburgh 2 put, imao si Washington, imao si Tampu 2 put, to je 5, jel tako? Blues je prekinuo, eto, to je 5 od 6. Ako sam nekog zaboravio slučajno, izvinjavam se, ali to hoću ti kažem, tu su slične ekipe na vrhu i uvek se drže i to po tim igrama generalno vidiš u finalu kako eto Blues je dobio Bruinse, nekako ovo ostalo čak, da li je bilo 7. utakmice, nešto nisam
siguran. U 7. utakmici je bilo, da, sa Bostonom.
Ne, da, to jeste bilo, ali na ove ostale nije bilo. Tampa dobila 4-2, 4-1, Pittsburgh dobio isto 4-1, 4-2, Washington 4-1, čini mi se.
Da, nije bilo zanimljivo.
7. utakmice, nije bilo te uzbudljivosti. Tako da, Zapad šta radi? Colorado u redu, oni su stvarno najjači u regularnom delu sezone i stvarno to, ali prvo oni moraju da preskoče tu stepenicu, oni su stvarno favoriti par godina, sad su možda još veći nego ikad, jer su napravili tu veliku prednost u odnosu na ostatak konferencije, mislim da je Calgary drugi trenutno.
Ne, ali Calgary je dobar.
Da.
Calgary, šta je... Ajde, završi.
I to, ali oni prvo moraju to breme favorita kroz 3 runde play-offa da izdrže i onda da dođu na Megdan nekim od premium ekipa Tampa, dvostruki šampion, to uopšte nije svejedno. Karolina, jedna od najjačih ekipa koja ima problema u play-offu takođe.
Florida koja dovela Žirua.
Florida koja nešto nisam ja baš pouzdan u njih, recimo Tampa i Karolina mislim da su ipak jači, onda tu opet je naravno Pittsburgh, tu je opet sad da li još neko tu
pa vidjet ćemo šta će biti.
Washington je tu, Boston.
Washington je 8. Washington je 8. Boston i Toronto imaju isto poena, mislim Boston opet...
Ne pominješ Toronto i ne pominješ Rangerse, na primjer.
Sa razlogom, Rangersi zato što su tu zbog šestjorkina, pre svega,
sve od njega zavisi.
Toronto zato što ima problema s golmanima, a isto ima probleme s prvom rundom, neću sad da prejudiciram, ali generalno moramo prvo da vidimo tu prvu rundu, a ne tek finale.
Zato što odnos se gleda finale.
Da,
tako.
Pre svega Tampa i Karolina, onda možda taj Boston i onda tu ne znam i Pittsburgh, pa onda tek ove ostale ekipe koje još moraju da se dokažu. Florida, Toronto, Rangersi nisu još uvek toliko dokazane ekipe.
Kao
da
Tampa
možda je to baš i fora što, znaš, ako šestjorki spusti roletnu, ćao, razumem. Znači, on stvarno kada igra kako treba, nemaš mu dati.
Tačno, ali malo i on pao u zadnje vreme.
Pa jeste, ali možda je bolje sada da padne nego play-off.
Ali Stefane, stalno pričamo da ne možeš da igraš, ti možeš da igraš 2 meseca jako dobro, onda moraš da padneš. Prosto je to nenormalno da ti, sem ako se ne drogiraš non stop, da ne možeš da izdržiš. Znači, u nekom trenutku mora doći do pada. Samo je pitanje trenera kada će da dozvoli taj pad, kada će njegova ekipa da uđe u pravu formu, a onda ako uđeš u formu i uspeš da dižeš formu tokom početka play-offa, onda ćeš sigurno igrati najbolje kada dođu te najbitnije utakmice.
Kod Tampa prošle godine.
Apsolutno.
Znači, pred play-off oni su totalno ga bili ugasili i samo
rastiš. Oni su i sad u nekom onako, da kažem, nekom mešovitoj formi, igraju tako promenljivo, znaš, nešto tipa u 10 utakmice imaju skor 5-5 ili tako, to što. Ali, znaš kako, Istok je toliko nezanimljiv ove godine što se tiče trke za play-off, jer ti bukvalno već mesec, dva, već znaš ko je u play-offu, znači niko ne može ni da priđe blizu, tolika razlika između 8. i 9. ekipe, 8. je Washington, 9. je, mislim, Columbus, već duže vreme.
Jeste, Columbus koji ni na zemlji, ni na nebu, ni na zemlji.
To je tolika razlika da ti ne možeš da stigneš, to bi neverovatan krah morao neko da doživi da bi ispod, to jednostavno nema šanse na 15 utakmica do kraja.
Ali dok onda pričamo o tom zapadu Colorado kao sve u fullu, svi znamo koliko ja volim Colorado, ali znaš, kada pogledaš, ako se setimo Calgaryja, ja sam još prošle sezone pričao su oni play-off ekipa.
Jesi, apsolutno.
Na početku ove sezone sam čak i pričao da će ući u play-off, ali ako uđu da su top play-off ekipa, jer su oni takvi, plus trener je takav. St. Louis je dobra play-off ekipa. Dallas je dobra play-off ekipa, znaš, Colorado je top ekipa, ali u play-offu taj drugi krug što je Stefan pričao, znaš, tako da vidjet ćemo, ali...
Meni je drago zbog Calgaryja, zaista, i
apsolutno.
Da, i mislim da neke strašne stvari rade. Mislim, mi stalno pričamo Edmonton Oilersima, s pravom smo pričali o glavnim zvezdama Edmonton Oilersa, ali nekako...
Za njih je i pitanje će ući, verovatno da hoće.
Sad sam to hteo da kažem, ali nekako neću da kažem da ne obraćamo pažnje, ne obraćamo dovoljno pažnje, recimo na Flamese koji zaista igraju dobro, koji su sad skoro pregazili Oilerse kao zvečku su ih pregazili.
Tako I zbog Lučića i zbog cele ekipe i zbog Sutera kog ja obožavam kao trenera, ali mi je žao da Lučić i dalje nije došao u našu emisiju.
Pa dobro, nadam se da će doći u nekom trenutku, ne da budeš pesimista, treba da budemo optimisti. Jeste, i meni je super što je to Foli, recimo što ga je Lučić dočekao kao svog rođenog, što se to Foli uklopio ekipu automatski i doneo kvalitet više ekipi Calgaryja.
Znači, kao da je tu 100 godine. 11 pobjeda na domaćem terenu izjednačili rekord franšize, da Foli se uklopio u fulu, zabija golove, cijela ekipa je onako...
Ali mislim da je to nešto što je Lučić svojevremeno pričao, da mu odgovara taj miran život u Calgaryju, ali da su svi posvećeni hokeju i to je ono što je mnogo lepo. Nema pritiska, nema recimo Toronto je ludnica, Toronto su mediji, Toronto mora ovo, Toronto mora ono i ti hteo nehteo moraš da naučiš da se izboriš sa tim pritiskom. Ovde nema takvog pritiska, ovde što radiš, uradiš, a sada mislim da mogu mnogo da urade, ali hajde da sačekamo da dođe play-off.
Pitaćemo kanadskog ambasadora Gillesa.
Ja se iskreno nadam da će nam čovjek doći ponovo u goste.
Ako dođu do finala, dovodimo Gillesa u epizodu, plaćamo i svoji džepova, nije problem.
Apsolutno se slažem s tom. Samo ti kažem, ako dođu do finala svoje konferencije, red je da dođe kanadski ambasador da priča ponovo s nama.
I Lučić.
Nadavno, Bože zdravlja.
Stefane, Calgary.
Pa znaš kako, oni su stvarno među favoritima i tu je isto što kažeš Sater, iskusan i to sve, ali biće interesantno, možda će zato biti interesantan taj play-off na zapadu, zato što ti nikad ne znaš ko će da iskoči, razumeš, eto, Montreal može da iskoči sa zapada, videli smo. Tako da stvarno će biti interesantno, znaš. Imaš tu pre svega Colorado koji stvarno bi bio red da prođe do tog finala, imaš Minnesota stvarno koja je pojačana, imaš Calgary, ali eto imaš tu i neke ekipe koje su, na primjer, eto, šta ti još govori o tome kakvo je stanje na zapadu, koje su nakon par godina bez nekog preterano velikog rebuilda uspjele da se vrate na stare staze. Mislim, Kingsi...
Sad sam da kažem Kingsi, dakle.
Koji su, eto, praktično bez tog Byfielda, koji je bio drugi pik, koji igra, ali ne igra još uvek na nekom nivou zavidnom i tako to, koji su uspjeli da se pomoću trejdova i vamte, znaš kako, već su uspjeli da nađu neki igrači i tako to.
Da se održe.
I oni su već tu onako solidno stoje, razumeš, Sharksi koji su isto bili na dnu, isto tako su se oporavili. To na istoku ne može. Mislim, Stevie Yzerman bi to uradio da može.
I radi dobar posao, moramo reći.
Radi on šta radi, ali vidiš da nema rezultata. Dok ovde 2-3 godine malo tradeš neki igrače, malo to nešto, ti si tu, razumeš, prijatelj.
Boriš se za play-off.
Dok Wingsi moraju da prođu taj neki period. Dajem primjer Wingsa.
Ali odličan je primjer.
Dajem eto čisto primjer Wingsa, zato što mislim da su oni u toj nekoj situaciji gde možda nisu baš, mislim da duše imali su oni jednu jako lošu sezonu i to, ali ti trebaš, znaš kako, trebaš da se izdigneš iz toga u nekom periodu. Eto, Buffalo koji 10 godina koji obara rekord po tome koliko dugo nije ušao u play-off. Dobro, oni do duše rade loš posao za razliku od Yzermana, sad su valjda se malo doveli pameti.
To bi nam dominator rekao da si mogo da ga intervjuše.
Hteo je.
Ali više ti treba, razumeš, na istoku da ti dođeš tu gde bi hteo da budeš, barem prividno, nego na zapadu. Tako da biće stvarno interesantno. Eto, Anaheim koji verovatno neće ući u play-off. Nisam siguran koliko oni...
Za Anaheim slušao, ajde završi.
Ali imaju neke od najboljih mladih igrača, imaju neke od najinteresantnih mladih zvezda i tako to. Tako da negde u bliskoj budućnosti može se očekivati već od njih.
Pa Troy Terry iz Igras, mislim, stvarno prave čuda iz Igras, moguće, sasvim je moguće da uđe.
Tvoj adut.
Da, ljuti miljenik. Iako sam rekao na početku sezone da neće biti u finalu, ali ekipa dobro igra i sada su sasvim izvesne šanse da će biti u top 3 rukija. Za Troy Terrya, slušao sam intervju, njega je devojka ostavila i on je toliko kukao za devojkom da su se toliko zezali sa njim u Anaheimu, da su jedan power play nazvali po njoj. Znači imali su power play.
Crni on.
I naravno kada sada postiže 20 plus golova u NHL da mu se vratila cura.
Pa dobro,
što je on dovoljno očigledno glup da pomisli da je to i dalje ljubav, ali ajde. Kad pričamo o drugim...
Svaki kažem ljubavi, ali...
Da, ljubav prema parama. Sad kad pričamo o rukima i o Detroitu, Seider, šta dečko radi? Kako igra bekovski? Ja sam s njim odušen. Znači, ljudi se odbijaju od njega, on ih demolira. McDavid, on ide 1-1 ovako lagano s jednom rukom mu izbije pak. Ja mislim da će taj momak biti tu, već je sada fenomenalan bek, ali da će u budućnosti...
Znaš kako, ja lično mislim da generalni menadžer traži jednog Lidstroma, obzirom da je s njim igrao.
I doveo Lindstroma i ima kvalitet igrača kog će sagrati.
Upravo sam to teo da kažem. I sad je pa neka si upošta.
Razumemo se.
Apsolutno. I mislim da je to momak oko koga će se graditi budućnost Detroita. Sad, stalno pričali smo pred početak emisije ti i ja, kako Stefan je to lepo rekao, ne igraju dobro sada, trude se, bore se, ali mislim da su očekivali sami više nego što sad pružaju, ali mislim da je to sve pod kontrolom i dalje generalnog menadžera i mislim da će on ipak uspeti da napravi ono što želi, možda ne sa sledeću sezonu, ali ja zaista očekujem da je to vrlo brzo u toj borbi, mada kao što je Stefan rekao, jako je teško u tim divizijama na istoku doći do toga što treba da se dođe i zato mislim da Detroit ima pune ruke posla i da je tek počelo. Iako, evo već koliko ovo je druga ili treća sezona gde je on generalni menadžer i gde on pokušava da pronađe prave igrače za prava mesta.
Imaš Raymonda i Seidera i Nedeljkovića koji su tu za budućnost.
Pa zato i kažem, mislim da je to super stvar i da samo treba malo strpljenja, ali niko u Americi više nema strpljenja, svi hoće preko noći da naprave ne znam šta, mislim nije to samo u Americi, to je svuda sada, ali ne može, mora da se ide korak po korak i moraš prvo da, ja volim da kažem, preko trnja do zvezda, moraš prvo dobro da se očeličiš, tako je da bi mogao da dođeš moraš da naučiš da gubiš da bi naučio da pobeđuješ i to je osnov svega. Detroitu je previše gubljenja, dakle to im je preko glave, ali jednostavno to je neki proces koji traje i koji mora da traje i dalje.
Pričali smo na početku sezone,
to
mislim da tu imaš svi su pod lupom nekih narednih 2-3 godine.
Tačno.
Šta valja, bit će tu. Gledaj što sam promokod.
Previše si pričao, ali lepo si rekao na početku sezone koliko Ajzera ima vremena.
Svi su pod lupom, razumeš, i svi su pojedinačno pod lupom, ko kako igra. I eto, imaš tog Seidera koji je fenomenalan, Raymonda i tako to. Oni će biti tu sigurno u godinama koje dolaze i to, ali vidiš si, mislim, ipak tu postoje silni problemi. Ekipa primila sad 11, primila pre nekoliko dana 10 komada. Uspeli su da prime svaki broj golova od 0 do 11 tokom ove sezone.
Što je neverovatno, da.
Tako da, očigledno mnogo tu toga ne štima. Međutim, znaš kako, prvo sam sebi si postavio taj cilj da ti ova sezona i ne samo ova, verovatno služe čisto eto za gledanje u budućnost, imaš, razumeš, na raspolaganju sredstava, imaš na raspolaganju Stevija Yzermana koji je sigurno, znaš kako, čovek sa pedigreom, hoće ljudi da igraju za njega i on ne bi trebao da ima nikakve probleme pri dovođenju free agenta, naročito u grad ko što je Detroit, koji je čuveni kao grad po hokeju i to sve. I za par godina ja mislim da stvarno bi to trebalo da se skocka. Ukoliko je Stevie Yzerman toliko dobar kao što svi pričaju, a generalno nemamo razloga da sumnjamo da nije.
To s tom Tampa Bay je njegova zaostavština.
Da, čovek ima rezultate iz Tampa, ima rezultate generalno u svojoj igračkoj karijeri i to došlo je tu, što se kaže, kući i tako eto, jedino što možda mislim bilo bi bolje da ima jednog John Coopera na klupi, ali nema, ali bože moj.
Ali doći će i on. Ali kad već pričamo o rukima, ne možemo da izostavimo. Hoćeš ti da me ispraviš opet kako se izgovara?
Slobodno.
Tener, Ženo, Jano.
Ja mislim Žano.
Žano.
Okay.
Znaš ti kako se izgovara? Da zovemo ambasadora da nam kaže.
Ne, on bi mogo da nam kaže tačno. Sigur. Da li je Ženo ili Žano?
Ali znamo kome pričamo, dečko iz Nešvila koji nije draftovan, dobio je slučajno sasvim šansu jer grinder, koju postavu igrao Olivier? Je igrao 3. 4. postavu, nešto tako?
Tako nešto.
Povredio se, doveli su ovog momka kao tu da je usput.
Dajte da ga probamo.
Igra neverovatno, na 5. mestu je po broju bodova, na 1. mestu po broju golova sa 22 i na prvom mestu po broju penalti minaca. U rukima pričam, da. 106 minuta penalti minac, od toga 12 tuča. Tako da gledamo jednog Bob Roberta konačno se vraća u ligu, ja obožavao sam Roberta i dan danas gledam njegove i golove i tuče i sve.
Pre svega tuče, onda i golove.
Sve svega tuče, pogotovo sa Domijem, onih 9 rundi, ali znači momak je tough guy koji postiže golove, to nemaš svaki dan da nađeš.
Ja mogu da ti kažem samo jednu stvar, nije kom je dato, nego kom je suđeno. Znači čovjek se našao u pravo vreme na pravo mesto, ali tako je trebalo da bude. I jednostavno je iskoristio svoju šansu. To je ono što kažu, iskoristiš svoju šansu u datom trenutku.
Ono što je Borna pričao nam.
Apsolutno, tako dakle, znači kad ti se pruži šansa, iskoristiš. Ne iskoriste svi. Evo recimo pričao si o Nikiti Gusevu. On je imao šansi i opet ništa nije uspeo da uradi. Ali...
Pa i Šipačev.
Pa da, ali Šipačev je vrlo kratko bio pa se vratio. On je odmah shvatio da ne može. Pa odmah su ga sklonili jer on...
Što me čudi.
Pa dobro, vidi, očigledno da... Ne treba se izvinjaš. Definitivno se nije navikao na taj način igranja, nije mu odgovaralo. Znaš kako, on je nekako previše mekan, svilen. Eto, da tako da ga nazovem i nije za NHL. A ovaj momak je očito došao u pravom trenutku na pravo mesto i dobio priliku koju iskoristio i sad samo treba tako da nastavi.
To je sve super, ali Roman Josi, to moramo da pričamo. Razumiješ, on ima neku, mislim, možda ne baš realnu, ali ima onako šansu da postigne 100 poena u jednoj sezoni i to ja ne znam ko je poslednji bek koji je to uradio, ali to sigurno nije bilo, pa eto vidiš, legendarni Paul Coffey koji igra sa legendarnim Oilersima i posle Red Wingsima i tako to, ali kad je to bilo negde 90-ih, razumeš, to se nije desilo. Pa da,
šta je to, neki 30 godina, pre 30 godina.
Da, i ne samo to, nego svi znamo ko je Roman Josi koji je tu bio uglavnom među favoritima i za najboljeg defanzivca i pre, razumeš, a ne sad kad je podigao ovako formu. I realno, mislim, imaš ti Makara u Avalanšu i to, ali nekako mislim da je ove godine, barem mislim da je njegov već Norris trofej, samo da samo da vidimo do kraja sezone koliko će on uspeti da uradi. Imao si neke onako baš dobre sezone i baš dobre bekove, imao si Majka Greena koji je dao s Capitalsima 33 gola, 35, ne znam ja, i tako to, ali mislim da ovo najbolja sezona možda ofanzivno jednog beka u prethodnih mnogo vremena.
To se sve slažem. Mislim, Josi ima stvarno sezonu koja je ludilo i baš se priča
i bolje defensivno mnogo nego Mike Green što je bio. Mike Green je bio onako.
Između Makara i Josija se baš puno priča, ali eto, Nashville je tu gde je, odnosno verovatno će biti u play-offu, verovatno, tako pokazuju brojke. Ja i dalje mislim da neće izdržati, ali tu su zbog Jenota i Anoa, Žanoa, šta god, i Josija, mislim, i Dušej igra lepo, se kaže Dušej. Danas očigledno imam problema sa izgovaranjem.
Ne, nije, pa vidi, mi smo anglosaksonski.
Renault ili Renault?
Da, Renault je, da. Definitivno je Renault, to smo naučili.
Peugeot.
Da li imamo nešto da kažemo Giroux, Philly, Giordano, Toronto i Domi Keynes? Ajde pričaj mi o Toronto
tako je.
I šta donosi Giordano u ekipu Toronto i koliki ti to šok?
Evo ovako ćemo da krenemo. Ben Charo dovede ga Florida za pika prve runde, razumeš, ko da su doveli Romana Josija i Majka Greena istovremeno.
Njega nisam, ali on je baš bitan, čoveče, on je baš dobar bek.
Pa bitan je, on je dobar bek ovako da te udari s leđa, da te saplete, da tako to, razumeš, oni ga plate, da, oni ga plate kod da je, razumeš, ne znam ti nijako. S druge strane, dobro, doveli su Giroua, ok, Giroux onako silaznom putanjom samo se spustio, razumeš, na Floridu. Nije ni to loše, ali Florida ima nekih možda i drugih problema. Znaš kako, ta ekipa bi bila mnogo bolja da ne daju ovom, bože, htio sam kažem, Brizgalovu. Da ne daju...
Barkovu?
Ne, Bobrovski.
A, Gobanu?
Da njega ne plaćaju 10 miliona, ekipa bi bila u mnogo boljem stanju. Ovako i oni imaju tu nekako, kako da kažem, možda manje prostora nego što bi trebalo. A ne samo što su mnogo dobri ovako, imaju dobro tu prvu liniju, oni imaju i jake igrače koji su se nekako nijotkuda pojavili, na primjer, eto i Mason Marchment igra odlično i neki igrače od kojih se ne očekuje. I to, ali njihov problem je nazad. Šaro im znači i razume se zašto su platili toliko koliko su platili, naročito za taj play-off, ok, gde ti možeš da udaraš koliko hoćeš.
Posebno Tampu.
I to, ali opet je nekako mnogo, razumeš, mnogo je. Sa druge strane, Tampa, njih baš briga. Oni mogu da rade šta hoće sa svojim draft kapitalom, to nije problem. Tražim Chicago 2 pika prve runde, evo vam Brandon Hagel, evo vam tu šta vam treba. I to nešto, može. Imamo 2 kupa za redom, ako uzmemo i treći, ako uzmemo i četvrti, posle toga 5-6 godina, šta nas briga, razumeš, na kod Stamkos u penziju, Hedman, ko već ode u penziju, nema veze, nemamo ni draft kapitala, ali mi smo uzeli 3-4 kupa, mi smo dinastija, nije bila dinastija po tim nazivom u NHL-u od 80-ih. Pa da, dinastija nekako računaš 4 Stanley kupa, to je nekako, ne zato što je to tako, nego što je istorijski gledano tako, imao si te Islanders-e sa 4 za redom, imao si te Oilers-e koji su imali 4 u 5, I
Canadiens se tamo davno.
Pa dobro, to je bilo dugo vreme.
To je davno bilo,
da. To kad si imao 6 ekipa.
Koliko god ih ne volim, ali moram reći.
Ne, svako, u 70-ih već da, ali ovo su najbliži primjeri. I to, tako da Tampa njih isto onako boli uvo. Ok, dali smo
Igraju
prve runde, pojačavamo se sad smo mi all in, nema veze za posle.
Šta će biti posle nije važno, tako je.
I to je to. Kog si još naveo sem Toronto,
A nismo i da pričali o Đerdanu.
Nije, on čeka za kraj to.
Jer Toronto...
Jer imaš još... Domi u Keynes-e.
Pa dobro, to je okej. Mislim, taj Max Domi, on generalno levo-desno ide i nekako nigde se nije još uvek toliko uklopio. Karolina je već jako dobra ekipa i oni mogu da urade nešto, razumeš, sa njim i to, ali pitanje je koliko i on tu ima dugoročno prostora, pored svih tih dobrih igrača koji su oni doveli. Oni su davali sad kod Kanijembi 8-godišnji ugovor.
4-8, a?
Da, imaš kako se zove, imaš Sebastijana Aha,
neće se treba da potpišu tek ovo leto.
Da.
Znači,
tako
to je problem.
Tako da pitanje je možda koliko će Max Domi biti tu, ali on poboljšava već jednu jako dobru ekipu i to je okej, znaš kako. Sad, šta znam, Max Domi, koja mu je ovo ekipa? 4. možda već, ja mislim Arizona, Montreal,
da se on igra na osnovu prezimena, da se malo gura, vozi i ostalo.
Bolje od Ćaleta.
Znači, Čale je bio tabar.
Čale je imao jednu stvar, znaš.
Ali to je radio
pa dobro, zato je ostao toliko dugo i od toga se svi sećamo.
Jeste, ali mislim da je dobro Domi u Keynes-e jer je Brandon Moore već pokazao da ume sa troublemakerima da izađe na kraj. Kao što je DeAngelo i koga je još od troublemakera doveo? Još nekog je imao.
A DeAngelo je glavni.
Čekam Toronto.
I znaš kako, Toronto je odličnu stvar uradio, znaš, zato što su uspeli da dobiju 2 igrača po mnogo manjoj ceni nego ostale ekipe. Da li je to na ledu možda prava stvar? Pa, znaš kako, možda i nije, razumeš, možda se nisu dovoljno pojačali u tom igračkom smislu za ovu sezonu i za ovaj play-off, ali Toronto nije ekipa koja ide all in. Iz jednostavnog razloga što, eto, oni verovatno možda i ne mogu više, ali znaš kako, imaš i taj problem, evo sad to ne znam da li si čuo, ali prošli pik prve runde Toronto, Rodnio Namirov, ima rak ili tako nešto i onako
Rodnio Namirov, da.
Van leda je
on je baš, mislim u Salavati u Lajevu, ako se ne varam.
Da, ima ozbiljnih problema sa zdravljem i onako, imali su očekivanja od njega i sad kad naš tog jednog od glavnih prospekata iz svoje franšize izgubiš, barem trenutno, zato što kažu da je on dobro i da verovatno bi trebalo to sve da ide, ali nije situacija sad ta da ti još uvek, znaš, guraš budućnost, a da nemaš to negde u pozadini.
Pa ne, mora da bude potpuno zdrav da bi mogao da ne daj Bož da ga pustiš, a da nije potpuno zdrav, to je onda ozbiljan problem.
Da. I to i nisu hteli da daju pikove prve runde za igrače ovog tipa i oni su uspeli da, mislim,
za male pare dovedu relativno dobre igrače.
Mislili su da će dosta bolje proći Seattle u smislu Jordana i tako to, do duše Ron Francis se pokazao dosta loše u prvoj godini.
Pokazao se užas.
Pa da, tako
znači,
tako da je ovo taj neki novi...
U nivou Otave prve sezone kad su došli, ja znam vas i koliko su oni...
Pa dobro, nije baš, ne može toliko da bude, ja mislim, loše.
A šta su radili? Dobro, Otava je bila posebna priča, ali šta je Seattle uradio?
Pa nije ništa uradio, samo nisu baš toliko loši. Šta ste da kažem? Tako da... Znaš kako, ok, cena, Giordano je stariji, ali je i dalje cenjen, i dalje ima, razumeš, što je nekad imao, ne u toj meri, ali i dalje zna se šta radi, i Toronto je igrao, od kad je Giordano došao? Toronto je odlično odigrao sve utakmice, izgubili su od Montreala, ali je Toronto imao 50 nešto šuteva, Montreal 18, razumeš?
Tradicija se rastavlja.
I tu ti je, kako se zove, velika ti je uloga da ti imaš nazad nekog, naročito kad nema Jakea Mazina, i to nešto ga nema, nego što on generalno ove sezone mnogo gori nego što je bio, ovo može da ti bude eto i kao neka i kratkoročno rešenje, dobio si tog Blackwella koji će da igra, i to za 2 pika druge runde, odnosno možda čak druge i treće, znači ne samo, ima tu nekih onih pravnih začkoljica, tako da to je okej, razumeš. Sad što se tiče ekipa igra okej, svi se tu negde kolju, imaju jednako bodova, a Toronto-Boston večeras je utakmica, mislim u Bostonu, gde imaju isto utakmica i isto bodova, znači će to za playoff. Tampa ima bod više, možda utakmicu više, mislim da ne. I to tako da negde Florida se izdvojila kao prva ekipa, a ove ekipe kako će stajati na kraju sezone, to niko živ ne zna. I bit će stvarno interesantno videti ko će s kim i kako će to izgledati. Mislim, evo, ja opet moram da iskoristim dežurni minut, da kažem par stvari o suđenju, zato što to bilo velika priča prethodnih par nedelja.
Samo da ti kažem, to kad budeš pričao, okreni se gospodinu,
ne,
on je sudija.
Ja više ne sudim, znači može da priča šta god reći.
Nema veze, znaš kako.
Jednom sudija, uvek sudija. Pa.
Realno Toronto mogu da ima bar 2 boda više, da ih nisu onako baš blatantno pokrali u zadnjih par nedelja, razumiješ. Pa kad su svi u bod, onda je 2 boda mnogo, znaš kako. I tako to, imao si situaciju protiv Arizona gde Matthews, njihov, koji ja ne znam kako se odgovara, Kikrin, Čajčun, kako ga vi zovu i tako to. Čovjek ga povuče, Matthews se zaustavi da se ne bi udario u sudiju koji očigledno vidi zato što je bukvalno njemu ispred očiju, čovjek ga povuče, zaustavi ga, ode u kontru 2-1, da gol. I kao, super, razumeš, nema veze, iako je očigledan prekršaj, ništa. Matthews posle toga bude suspendovan na 2 utakmice zato što...
To je omiljeno.
Pa ne, suspendovan na 2 utakmice zato što ga igrač udara opušteno, nema veze koliko puta, i sad ti kad mu vratiš, evo ti 2 utakmice.
Ali kako mu je vratio?
Ček u glavu da mu skine čoveče.
Izvini, molim ti, na stranicu onog Department of Player Safety, gde radi onaj kompleksač George Paroš, razumeš? Gde ti imaš stranice i stranice. Kažnjam $5,000 zbog trošenja, kažnjam 5.000, kažnjam 5.000, kažnjam 5.000.
Ali ovo je Toronto, mora da mu skine utakmice.
Pa George Paroš se nije proslavio u Montrealu. Ja znam čime se on proslavio u Montrealu. Ja sam gledao tu utakmicu kad ga Colton Orr tako zalepio da je udario glavom u led i svi su se bojali da nije umro. I to je problem generalno.
Zato lud.
Nije zato lud, nego zato ima problem s Torontom. Ti daš jednom Jasonu Speci koji 20 godina igra u ligi, nema jednu suspenziju, ti njemu daš suspenziju 6 utakmica za nešto što nekom drugom bi dao kaznu. Pa alo čoveče, pa mislim, to je bar očigledno.
Da, ali Matthews je morao, ja sam mislio da će biti 1 utakmica, dobio je 2. Iskreno ti budem.
Ali dobro, ono što sam ja video, jeste, baš ga je, to je baš opasna igra.
Ali gledaj ti tu situaciju od početka.
Pogledam.
Ti imaš, razumeš?
Ovo je bilo za 2 minuta, za par play i onda skida glavu.
Dalin napravi 3 prekršaja, oni ne sude ništa. Ti mu vratiš, ajde ti razumeš 2 utakmice nazad. A ti kad bi svirao taj prvi prekršaj, ne bi ga Matthews udario. Ali to ti je player safety.
Mogu je da ga udari u telo, nije morao da ga udari u glavu.
Pa ko zna kako je on htio da ga udari, ali nema veze.
A nije video, pa mu malo otkino glavu.
Pa što se mene tiče, mogu da ga udari da god hoćeš, razumeš. Ako tebe neko, razumeš, vuče, cima i tako, to je odmah nakon utakmice sa Arizonom. Ti ako sudiš kako treba, tog nema. Evo pre neki dan protiv Montreala. Opet 2-2. Utakmica, zadnja 3 minuta. Matthews opet nešto tamo sa pletu, povuku, nema veze šta, Montreal ode u kontru, da gol za 3-2. Ti nisi hteo da daš power play u zadnjih 3 minuta, da ne bi odlučio utakmicu, ti si odlučio utakmicu tako. I sad super. Koliko puta u zadnjih ne znam koliko Toronto igra, nema ni jedan power play. Najbolji power play lige, jedna od boljih ekipa u ligi, mislim da se ne lažemo, nije najbolja ekipa u ligi, ali jedna od boljih ekipa koja ima i pak i sve. I njih niko ne faulira. Svaki play-off dođe, Toronto više prekršaja nego protivnik. Protiv Bostona, razumeš...
Pa to su sve zavere.
Pa pustiti to, protiv Bostona, pa uzmi ti 2013. Nemoj ni ovu sad trenutno. 2013. pustiš 7. utakmicu, ti da vidiš kako Van Riemsdyk dobija lakat u glavu sa leda. To je za 5 minuta kazne. To nema veze. Vidi kako Brad Marchand udara golmana, Jamesa Reimera, u 7. utakmici, bez problema, nema veze, razumeš? Koji je broj power play-eva? Ti imaš više power play-eva za... Jake DeBrusk ide okolo, udara igrače, razumeš, nema veze, ovako, onako, nikom ništa. Kadri ga zalepi, ne ga je zalepio, do kraja play-off serije te nema, razumeš? Pa čekaj, stani malo, ti sudi to što se prvo desi. Nemoj ti da gledaš, razumeš što
posledice.
Ne posledice ima, pa ima, sudi i to.
Ali
ti bi sprečio posledice
kad bi radio kako treba. Da uradiš kako treba, nema posledica.
A zato na jednom igraču, kog je malo pre pomenuo, nema to ni posledice, ni ništa, naš omiljeni, to je moj omiljeni red, packe, Maršan.
Znaš kako, on baš toliko razume što radi da moraju nešto da mu rade. To što si teo da kažeš, on stvarno ima mnogo suspenzija, stvarno ima mnogo svega i to.
Imamo i sliku za to, može Vanja da nam pokaže da nastaviš.
Ali mogu i više, znaš kako, u odnosu na sve što se dešavalo, to je istina, znaš kako. Nije ništa novo. I eto, imao si situaciju pre par mečeva.
Šta Vanja, nema slike Maršanda sa suspenzijama? Ja mislim da si ti poslao, ali nema veze. U svakom slučaju imamo Maršanda koji je oborio rekord po broju suspenzija, 8 ih je dobio do sada. Imate, ako volite, čitate takve stvari, artikal se zove Brad Marchand became most suspended player in NHL history, has forfeit over 1.4 million in salary. Znači tu imate sve njegove suspenzije, snimak.
I koliko koštaju te suspenzije.
I koliko je to sve koštalo. I nije najgori. Mislim, najgori je po broju, ali postoji jedan igrač koji je dobio doživotnu suspenziju iz NHL-a, to nam je fun fact za kraj ove emisije, Billy Coutu, kako se to izgleda?
Ne znam,
Coutu.
Nisam čuo za tog čovjeka.
Pa on je igrao 1927.
Ja mislim da je Koti.
Za Montreal, Canadiens igrao.
Pa nema veze.
Steve Bertuzzi je isto dobio indefinitely suspenziju. Mislim da...
Nisam to našao kad sam istraživao.
Ali on se posle izvinjavao na televiziji i tako to, pa su ga vratili.
Ali kad je ovo bilo?
27.
Pa to ti kažem.
Nakon bio Walt Beaver, tamo se tuko i posle tuče je nastavio regularno, kad je prebio sve igrače, prebio i sudije.
I zato je dožao
da, gospodin čovek. Tako da, eto, Marchand je oborio rekord koji nevjerojatno niko drugi ne bi hteo i drago mi je samo da se tako nastavi, volim kad ga vidim da sedi na klupi i u stvari gore na tribinama. To bi bilo to za ovu emisiju. Dragi gledaoci, najavili smo već den Reja i naše sudije. Žule, Stefane, nešto za kraj?
Pa ništa, drago mi da smo se videli opet.
Ništa, tek uzu zalet.
Pa vidim.
Sad si se probudio.
Ostavit ćemo mi uključenu kameru, pa dokle ide.
Neka.
Da, nije, ja bih samo da se zahvalim naravno svima što nas prate, što se raspituju za naše zdravlje i nadam se da ćemo ipak smoći snage da nastavimo, da ovo zaista ne bude baš poslednji podcast. Eto, nada poslednje umire, pa da u tom nekom maniru i završimo.
Ništa, to.
Da ne ostavljamo kameru.
Ne.
Ništa, ja bih se isto takođe zahvalio svim gledalcima koji su naši vatreni fanovi i dobili smo puno poruka, hvala vam puno na tome. Ja bih volao da nastavimo, ali kako stvari stoje, trenutno ćete morati se zasititi sa ova dva prelepa intervjua koji su specijali sa Olimpijskih igara, tako da uživajte. Ćao! Dear viewers, we have two really special guests. They are both from USA and they are golden boys from Beijing, so I need to pronounce their names totally. So we have a linesperson, William Hancock II, and we have a referee, Andrew Bruggeman. So they are golden boys, gold medal game. It's a really unbelievable achievement. First of all, congratulations, boys. It's a pleasure to know you, and I'm really happy for both of you, and welcome to my podcast.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Glad to be on and get to share some laughs and some memories. It's been a long time since we've chatted.
so long. Okay, Bruggs, we can start with you. So both of you guys came back maybe like a week ago back to USA, maybe a couple of days more than that. So are emotions like a little settling down and coming down, or you're still like under a huge impression of what happened in Beijing and whole tournament and everything about the Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We had a couple extra days in Beijing before we were able to fly home with flight schedules and that. So those couple days were kind of a relaxing time, and it was a fun time to reflect with our teammates and the guys that got to work that gold medal game. And so since being home, it's been kind of hectic, just trying to get back into a normal swing of things. And yeah, so definitely the excitement is wearing off a little bit, but it's still, there's a lot of people that come up to you and know you and congratulate you and want to ask 100 questions about it. And that's great because we don't mind sharing, the experiences and that. But yeah, definitely things are coming back to normal now, which is hard to believe because it's, we're only 10 days ago, we were just finishing up a gold medal game. So, but yeah, things are coming back down now.
It's a good thing now all the questions are going to be here and you can tell them, hey, just watch the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
And everything over there. So for you, Billy, the same thing. How do you feel now when everything is settled a little bit? And first of all, you need to explain why Billy. I know you as a Billy, not like, I knew it's a William, but everybody's just Billy.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the name got changed. I mean, it's just kind of like, that's how it is, like in the United States, right? Or Canada, whatever it might be. If you have a name William, you're called Billy. If you were, I don't know, Timmy, I don't know how the difference is when it became Billy, but just always been that way. They called Billy my entire life. But same thing that kind of what Bruggs added on to. I came back and I went right back into working some more games. So we flew back on Wednesday and I was skating Friday. So I traveled Thursday and it was nice to kind of get into it. And you had all those text messages and phone calls saying congratulations. And you see some of those people, you get to work with them now. So you talked about it in person. And it's kind of been like a consistent, like, I don't know how to say it. It hasn't come down from it yet because you got right back into hockey and now really had a time to kind of sit down, just kind of reflect a little bit about the entire experience. But what Bruggs did, it was kind of cool to have those extra couple of days there to kind of just, chill with the people you were with and enjoy the extra couple days with them and kind of slowly get back into real life. Time change, still trying to work on that because that was quite a difference for both of us. But yeah, just kind of cool to be back here and get back into hockey right away.
You said a couple of days, so I know during the tournament it was like a little strict, but last couple of days, were you guys able to go and see other events or it was just
No, sadly we weren't able to still. We still had to keep the bubble. The closed loop, as they call the Olympics. They just didn't want us going out in case anything else were to happen, bring it back into the hotel or whatnot. So that was kind of a downfall. It was a couple of days just kind of chilling at the hotel with your friends, but we made the best of it.
Okay, so Bruggs, I know that both of you guys spent a lot of years in officiating development program, mostly known by ODP. Can you just tell me how and why did you start to officiate and become a part of ODP?
Yeah, I started when I was really young, doing my first games. I was like 12 years old, 13 years old. And then tried to play a year junior after finishing high school over here, and that didn't work. And I was lucky enough to have some people, some mentors around my area in Minnesota that had some connections to get me exposed to the development program there. And I thought, this could be a fun thing to do while I'm working my way through college and that. So I kind of got in just as a way to see what I could do and just have a little bit of fun working some higher levels. And obviously 6 years later, I was out of that and working pro hockey here in the States. And here we are, 11 years after that whole process started.
Billy, can you tell me how many years it took you to be in the ODP to get your first IIHF license? And can you explain us whole process of getting a license in USA? Billy, are you here?
I was on mute, I apologize. Been around, so ODP I was in, I want to say it took me 5 or 6 years in the ODP to get my IHF license. And the process here, I know every federation is different, but for USA Hockey, you have to apply to go to a camp we call the Elite Exposure Camp or Elite Experience Camp. And they take 4 referees and 4 linesmen, and you work at a mini tournament for Team USA. It's their under 20 tryout camp for their team. So you work a handful of games, hang out with the guys for a week. And at the time, my camp was in Lake Placid, New York. That was pretty cool to go see Lake Placid and see where the 1980 Miracle on Ice happened and stuff. Now the camp's in Plymouth, Michigan. Still a good experience for those guys that get to go now. But yeah, you have to apply for a camp, and once you go there, you get a license out of it as long as you do a good job.
And is that an invitational only, or like you can apply?
So it's actually one of the only camps that USA Hockey does that it's not invitation. Like anyone can apply for it. So if you're a level 1 official and you want to apply for it, go right ahead. But obviously look at experience, what kind of pro hockey you've done, that kind of stuff.
Okay, I know that there are a lot of guys who are having a license double IHF. So Bruggs, can you tell me, like, are all these guys getting a tournament? I'm talking about World Championships, so all the divisions, or some guys are cut. And when was your first double IHF tournament?
I'm pretty sure, and Billy can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure not all of our guys get tournaments. And it's the same on the female side too. We do have a lot of people licensed. And so I'm pretty sure that not everybody's getting tournaments every year. In terms of my experience, my first tournament was 2018 division. It was U18 Division 1 Group A in Reja, we had an absolute blast there. It was such a good group of guys. And that was I've only done 2 tournaments outside of a bubble. So it was that one, and then followed up in 2019 in Vancouver for the under 20s. But my first one, it was a great experience and a great kind of leap into international hockey, just to understand how things work and the way everything goes. And like I said, a great group of guys that I got to work with at that event too.
Yeah. You mentioned before bubble, man, it was so much easier before bubble. Now we'll speak about all the procedures. But Billy, can you tell me? I know that you are much longer in a tournament, a double IHF. So when did you start thinking that maybe you can make it to the Olympics?
It kind of became like a realization to me probably about 3 or 4 years ago, because you're getting to that Olympic cycle now. You're after the other guys have gone to Pyeongchang. You're looking at who the top guys have been and how you've been performing. And when you keep getting assigned to top level tournaments, went to my 20s in Buffalo, and then I did my World Championships in Slovakia, and was supposed to go to Switzerland before COVID whacked that tournament, and had U18 last year in Dallas in the bubble down there. So you keep getting top level tournaments. You keep getting told by your supervisors at the end of the tournament, they always give you the general, overview of your tournament. And every single time I kept saying, guy can work at a higher level. So it's kind of in the back of your mind. It's not necessarily saying like, I'm going to go to the Olympics. It's just in the back of your mind, like, well, coming up next year. And I've been one of the top performing guys along with some of my other colleagues. And I guess, I'm putting myself in a good spot for it. So it never was like, it's going to happen. It just was, it's a possibility.
You were hoping, but you said the guy is ready for upper level. I remember in 2017 when we had a game, I told you after a game that you were the best linesman I ever skated with, and I still think that. So I was kind of guessing back then.
Foreshadowing.
Bruggs, do you maybe know how many of you referees from USA were on the long list for the Olympics?
We had 3 referees and 2 linesmen.
Okay. And at first it was only you were selected, and then Steven Renault got called because of some kind of issue, or?
Yeah, we had some COVID issues going into the tournament where they weren't sure if guys were going to get positive tests or negative tests. So Steven was able to come with and join us, and he was a good addition to the staff. And we obviously selfishly like to have as many Americans involved as we can.
Yeah, I know that Steven Renault is in double IHF for a lot of years now. But Billy, in Beijing there were 4 of you officials, right, for a men's tournament, and of course you and Bruggs, and there was, as we mentioned, Steven Renault and Brian Oliver. Of course, we need to mention Scott Zelkin. He's he's still chief of ODP and USHL, right? And he's a supervisor in the Olympics. So big hi for Scott Zelkin. I really love that man. He helped me a lot with all of my officiating career. And so how often do you see these people during the season? Like, how often do you officiate, and are you in touch with all of them during a regular season?
You know, it's just kind of wild because here we don't see our friends too often because you're always working with different people, and just especially where people live at. And now you have Renault and Bruggs are both going over to Germany for half the season. So it kind of takes away the chance to work with them. But growing up with these guys and working up with them through the ODP, you know, driving thousands of miles with them in cars, going to Waterloo, Iowa, and going out to Kearney, Nebraska, that kind of stuff, like working Clark Cup finals with them. So we have the experience, but nowadays you don't see them too often, but you keep in touch with them. Like, I mean, I know that me and Bruggs talk a couple times a month at the least. And whenever I see Renault at the rink or a phone call with him once a month. But the funny thing is that me and Brian Oliver, we kind of came up together at different times in the ODP. So I think we might have worked one game together ever, but we've done 2 tournaments together. So it's kind of cool to see each other there. And, you know, I'm not saying that we're not super close, but it's kind of like when you see your friend for the first time in 15 years and it's just like you saw him yesterday kind of thing. That's how it is with all of us there. So.
Yeah, I mean, I had a tournament with Brian Oliver. He was unreal. I mean, it was some kind of 3rd division, and he showed up over there, and everybody looked at him like this, and he's a great official. It was really nice watching him on the ice skating. And just one more question. You're still in Chicago, right? And is Zelkin still in Chicago? Like, is there a relationship, like sometimes you even meet at the games, or you're sometimes through the phone call?
Yeah, no, we probably talk again maybe once a month about stuff going on with what's going on in my career and how things in the USHL are going, that kind of stuff. But yeah, we live about 20 minutes from each other actually. So I'm up in northern Illinois and he's about 20 minutes south of me. So it's kind of funny to be like in the same area as him. Yeah.
No, we can't say address. That would be bad.
Oh.
Just kidding. Okay, Bruggs, I know that you're officiating in Germany. I don't know, is it this season or season before even? And can you tell me that whole experience in Germany? Is that something that you apply for, or you're chosen for that? And also, can you tell me how much did that help you with getting to the Olympics?
Yeah, so this is my first year in Germany. It kind of came about, there's been a couple other American guys going over. Steven Renault's been going for a few years, and Andrew Wilk, another American guy. I'm not sure if you worked with him or not at all in the ODP.
In University in Russia.
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, he really is. But he was on the phone with Lars Bruggeman, who is, kind of helps run the DEL over there. And so he was on the phone with him as we were driving from a playoff game, an ECHL playoff game, and mentioned my name that I might be interested in coming. And then, I don't know if it was 6 weeks or 2 months later or whatever, Lars called me and we had a little discussion about the opportunity to come over and experience a different league. I've been in the ECHL here for quite a while, and it's a good league. I have nothing bad to say about it at all, but just the opportunity to experience something different, experience a foreign country, and everything worked. So in terms of how much it's helped, I think anytime you can see additional styles of hockey, right? We play a certain way in North America, we're a more physical brand. Definitely a more run and gun style, where when we get to Europe, it's the game's not as physical. It's a lot of east to west, and just getting to experience that, I think it just adds another tool to your bag to be comfortable and familiar with that.
And what about spectators?
Yeah, so I've been back here in the States now since Christmas. But before that, we had the first trip I made was wild. Like the fans in Europe you can't even compare it to anything in the States. It's just constant. It's constant noise. It's constant yelling and cheering and singing, and it's pretty incredible. A lot of emotion for sure in the game because of that. Unfortunately, with COVID restrictions, they went to some reduced capacities and some some arenas with no fans, and we've all dealt with that for a couple of years now, and we all know it's losing the fans takes a lot from the game, from the referee side, from the player side, everything. But now, from the sounds of it, we're going to be back at pretty full buildings over there. I shouldn't speak to that too much because I don't really have all the details, but yeah, I'm excited to get back and see what it's all about. And I know there's a playoff push going on there now, so we're going to be going into some pretty intense hockey.
And previously we started to talk about procedures before COVID and now. I know before it was just you get your airplane ticket and you're flying to the tournament. What was the procedure to get to the Beijing?
Yeah, so we had to, it was a really quick couple weeks. We found out that we were going, and then we had informational meetings with the IIHF staff, and then had to take a test 2 weeks out, 7 days out, and those could be anywhere. And then we had to take our last two tests were 96 hours and 72 hours, so 4 days and 3 days from departure. And that last test had to be at a specific lab that was approved by the Chinese government. And so for me, being from southern Minnesota, kind of a smaller community, it was all my testing was done in the Twin Cities area, Minneapolis, St. Paul. So it was an hour and a half to 2 hours driving each way just for testing, which of course, no complaints because of how things worked out. But yeah, definitely more difficult than before, where you, like you said, you just get the plane ticket and you go, okay, I'm leaving on the 10th. Good. It's planning 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, and trying to make sure that you have everything you need and all the correct documentation. And
could you guys officiate, or you were in quarantine for some period before the tournament?
No, we didn't have any mandatory quarantine. Personally, I decided to take a personal quarantine, which was, I started that like 2.5 weeks before we left, I think it was, just to be safe, you know. It's nothing against any of the leagues that we work back home. I just thought it would be kind of a silly decision to go to a game and catch COVID and then not be able to go to the Olympics.
Yeah. Billy, so you guys finally got to the Beijing probably after 24 plus hours of a trip and procedures, and I can't imagine airports and everything. So when you got to the Beijing, what was the procedure from there? Were you guys in quarantine for some time in the rooms, and were you guys in the village or you had a separate hotel?
So we actually stayed at a separate hotel that was off of the Olympic, footprint. There was one rink by us, the Wukestan rink, which where the majority of the female games were played at. And then our rink was at the National Indoor Stadium, which is where it was kind of like in a little village of where some of the athletes were staying at. The curling was there. The speed skating wasn't too far away. So there's kind of more stuff that way. And we were about a 40-minute bus ride away from all that. At our hotel. So not in the village, but the hotel we stayed at was very nice. No complaints for where we stayed. But it was, when we got there, you got off the plane, you get through customs and you had to take a test immediately off the plane. And then we went to our hotel. They told us to go to the room, sit in the room to get a phone call. And they said it might be about 6 hours max to get your test results back. And within, I'd say it was an hour bus trip back from the airport. We were in our rooms maybe for 30 minutes and we got a phone call saying, hey, you're negative, good to go. There were some other guys that had some inconclusive test results that they had to sit in the room for about 48 hours to make sure they were negative, but everyone was negative, just a couple inconclusive tests. But yeah, so surprisingly, with all the stuff we had to do to get there, there was no quarantine time except for that, 45 minutes in your room. And after that, it was a test every single day. So I know that people did test positive, not in our group, but people at the Olympics would test positive and had to go away for at least a 5-day quarantine and get negative tests to come out of the rooms. But thankfully for the hockey side, the officiating side, we didn't have any of those issues.
So all officials were negative, like officially negative through the whole tournament, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So, Bruggs, we were speaking a little bit previously about that, about going out and see other events. I know that you said you couldn't, but could you watch other hockey games? And what was the atmosphere like in a hotel, in the ice rink and everything?
Yeah, we were able to go and watch the men's and women's games if we wanted to. We had transportation that was arranged for us at the hotel that would take us to both arenas. In terms of atmosphere, I mean, it's a new sport in China still. They're still kind of getting used to it, and obviously limited fans the way it is. So the rinks were quiet, I would say. It wasn't like working, it definitely felt like the Olympics on the ice and the way the guys were playing. But the atmosphere, it was a little bit quiet, a little more docile. But and then in terms of like the hotel, I mean, we had our fun. We did what we could to. We're still trying to stay safe, right, and distance and do all the right things so you don't test positive. But we were able to hang out and spend some time together and tell stupid stories and laugh and joke and maybe have a beer or two because we are hockey referees at the end of the day. So that kind of goes with the territory.
I know. Over here always. Billy, so your first big game, I was watching Sweden against Finland. It was really good game in a regular preliminary round, and you guys did really great job. So what was the feeling while you were on the ice, and after that game, what was the evaluation like? Did you feel like you can go deep into the tournament as it happened at the end?
Yeah, it was a very, I guess I'd say, great opportunity for us to get a good game because it does, it's kind of luck of the draw in the preliminary round. Sometimes you get stuck with a game where it could be 25-0. You get stuck with a game where it's going to be intense all the way through. And that's how the Sweden-Finland game was. And I think everyone knew that one going into it, that it's kind of like a USA-Canada, right? It's a big rivalry between the two countries. No matter who's playing, no matter what year it is, it's always going to be an intense hockey game. And it was. And I think that our crew nailed it. And just beyond the ice, those guys, it's kind of tough to say that you remember all of it because kind of like if we talk about the gold medal game later on, it's just we sail through that game and you get off the ice and you're like, whoa, that was fun. And that's how the Sweden-Finland game was too, because it was a little bit intense. And then Sweden has a big lead, and then Finland decides to turn it on in the third period and make a comeback and finish it off in overtime. The third period was super intense. But the best part about it was that the players are all super respectful. Like Finland gets frustrated, down 3-0. Sweden is happy, and then all of a sudden tables turn. But we never had any issue with any players, bad mouthing us or the trash talking wasn't bad either. It just was a very respectful hockey game, but a very intense hockey game. So It was a lot of fun to have that as my second game in the tournament too. So it just kind of gets you, it keeps you involved in the tournament. You're not nervous anymore. You're kind of, okay, now I'm back into it. This is a high paced game. I'm involved in it. And after the game, our coaches came down and said that we all nailed it. So, getting a tough game like that and hearing that you nail a hockey game, it's like, all right, well, I'm putting myself in a good spot then because you only get a handful of games here and you got to nail every single one of them.
Exactly. It was a really hard game. I was watching it and his supervisor said it. You guys really did a good job. For you, Bruggs, the preliminary round, you had a game Canada against China. And if you ask me, it was only 5-0. But my question is, what do you think about Team China through the tournament? For me, it looks like they did a good job. What was the feeling on the ice?
Yeah, for sure. I think I saw them twice. I saw them twice in the preliminary, or once in the preliminary, and I saw them twice. I don't remember how it all played out, but they're, like we said, they're still a developing hockey country, and they have some players, some naturalized players from the U.S. and some different places. But yeah, for me, the players were all respectful. They came and in my opinion, they did the country proud, and they played the game hard, and they played the right way, and they treated us well, which is obviously, it's just an added bonus, the last one there. But overall, I think the game's in a decent spot over there, and I think it's going to continue to grow.
Yeah, I agree, especially that game against Germany, 3-2. Like, congratulations to them. Like, that's a really success for them. And Billy, you and Bruggs were together in the quarterfinals, Sweden-Canada, and that was really intense game also. And I would like to ask you, did you feel any pressure in that important game?
Yeah, I mean, going back to saying that we only get a handful of games and getting assigned to an elimination game, it's kind of the same pressure you have back home now with our playoffs just starting to get started here. It's win or go home for these teams. And you have two powerhouses too, Canada and Sweden. So going into it, we knew it was going to be a very physically exhausting game. And not to mention that afternoon was when Slovakia knocked off USA in the quarterfinals. So there was a lot more pressure that's saying, okay, well, one of the biggest teams in this tournament just got knocked out by an underdog. And we saw that worked out for Slovakia. And then same thing happened with Sweden taking over Canada. And anytime you can skate with your friends over there, it's exciting. So when the assignments came out and, it's me and Brugg skating together, it's one of those kind of cool moments, like, all right, get to enjoy the friend and go out there and kind of joke around, have some fun, and take a lot of pressure off yourself. Because, I remember me and Bruggs were doing a hot lap. We're talking before a third period and like a song came on. We're kind of just doing a little shimmy together going down the ice. So it just, just having fun with them. And yeah, obviously the game was a lot of fun. And I remember we get off the ice and Bruggs looked at me in the locker room. He's just like, I am mentally drained. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I understand that was a hard game, but as you said, it's so much easier to work with somebody you already know. But Bruggs, for you, there's no bigger pressure in the sports than a gold medal game in the Olympics, and you had that game with Björk Tobias. He's from Sweden. You guys did a really awesome job. Only 4 penalties through the whole game. You had everything in your hand from the first to the last second. I know it didn't feel easy on your side, a lot of pressure, but how long are preparations for this game? Because you guys are not from the same league, you don't have the same standard. Like, what was the procedure before the game? How long you guys talk about it?
Sure.
What's the standard going to be?
Yeah, we talked about it together. I've known Tobias for like 4 years now, 5 years now, something like that. This is my third event with him. I don't think I've ever worked a game with him, if I'm being honest. So, it's the same conversation you have every game, even at home in the 4-man here in the American League. We all have a similar standard, but the conversation with us over there in China and then with our officiating coaches was kind of about officiating without calling penalties, if that makes sense. It is about making sure the ones we call have consequence and are really, really good penalties, and then trying to stay out of the way and really let the players decide the game, because at the end of it, it's about them. It's we get to celebrate working a gold medal game, but at the end of the day, it's about the players and letting them decide the game. So our discussion was to really make sure we're grabbing penalties to keep the game safe. Anything dangerous we're going to take, and anything with a consequence, a turnover, or anything that's very, very obvious. But other than that, we decided we weren't going to nitpick the game, and we were just going to let it come to us. And it's really important in those situations to just sit back and relax and take a deep breath and understand that your decisions have major consequences potentially.
Okay, and Billy, as I mentioned previously, both of you and Bruggs, you are the Golden Boys. You got that last game, Russia against Finland. It's really unbelievable achievement. But walk us through the whole process, like getting assignments for the last game. Again, 2 guys from USA together in a game, a gold medal game. And were you guys a little bit nervous? What were the feelings before game, during the game, after the game? Walk us through.
We get the bronze medal assignments come out the day before, because the bronze medal game was this day and the next day was gold medal game. So when you go there, obviously your goal is to work the last game, and then you see the medal assignments come out, and they did it game by game, because typically we're used to having bronze and gold come out at the same time. So seeing that we're not in the bronze medal game, it's like, okay, well, I guess that's a good thing, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to get anything out of this. And then the next day, I'm actually with Bruggs. We find out that we're working the game together, and I think he almost tackled me when we found out that we had the assignment. So emotions, kind of just shock first, and then you realize you put yourself in a good spot to do it. So it's surprising, and the thing that was amazing, that all of our teammates were very supportive. Everyone said congratulations. There was no one there that was like, I should have been there, or like, screw you, you don't deserve it kind of stuff. Everyone was very supportive of all 4 of us on the ice. And mostly up to it, the bus ride there, all kind of take it like another game. We go in the rink, listening to some music on the bus, talking with each other, joking around like we've always been the entire time. In the locker room, Bruggs got his speaker going, playing his music and getting us all pumped up for the game. And I will say that I was dressed probably about 15 minutes too early. So I think I was just like, I need to be ready to go. And I'm sitting there, my stuff going, now I have nothing to do for 15 minutes, which is nothing I usually do. So, but they had stepped on the ice, and after the 3 or 4 minutes out there, got our feet underneath us, and felt pretty good. But definitely were shaking our skates a little bit at the beginning of the game. Like I get nervous before a lot of hockey games, but the biggest game of your life, that's kind of took a few minutes to get ready. But the emotions were insane, but it was a lot of fun.
Okay, so Bruggs was a DJ. That's a good thing to know. So Bruggs, if you were a DJ, I know that you can talk about celebration after, but is there any funny story that you can maybe share with us from the whole tournament?
I mean, there's a few, but some of them might have to stay hidden. We'll just say that we had our fun when it was appropriate to have our fun. Couple of nights where we know we're off the next day, you know, maybe the night gets a little bit late and gets into the early morning hours, and maybe somebody's shoe got lost or something like that. But yeah, I don't want to get anybody in any trouble. So overall, though, there's tons of memories, right? And it's outside of the stupid stories where maybe we have too much fun. Really just getting to share a beer with your friends after a gold medal game was always going to be something that's going to stick in my mind.
I'm 100% sure you will remember that moment for the rest of your life. Gold medal game at the Olympics, that's like the highest point that you can get in IIHF. And my question for both of you is that maybe bringing something good in the USA also? Like, did you guys maybe talk with somebody from the NHL? Is there maybe a chance for that? Are you guys chasing that, or you have something else in your mind?
Yeah, for me, I haven't had those conversations really yet. I don't know what they're thinking, what they're looking for necessarily. But I mean, for me, it's kind of if this is the end of the road, it's a good way. It's a good way to go out for sure.
Billy?
Yeah, I mean, same with what Bruggs was saying about you don't know what their thought process is. You don't know what's going to happen in the summertime. It's possible. It's not, might not be possible, but we conquered the level that we were officiating at. We got to the top of it. And like Bruggs said, that's the peak of my career. It's a pretty good peak that I can live with.
Okay, and also for both of you, is hockey everything you do in your life, or you need to have a extra job?
I'm still a full-time official. I do have a side gig I do kind of part-time around the area here that, makes extra money, keep me busy during the week. But still, my hockey schedule is always fully wide open, and all of the signers in the various leagues and conferences I work for know that. So if they need me to go somewhere on a Thursday for, a week in Saturdays, or need to go on the road for a week, I make it happen. So the money's still good enough for it. I still enjoy doing it, and I don't want to give up anytime soon. So, yeah.
Nice. You, Ruggs?
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar situation with Billy, where when it's hockey season, it's hockey season. I work for an electrical company back here in Minnesota, and I'm really fortunate that they allow me the freedom to come and go as I need to, and I try to keep really open communication with them about when I'm around, when I'm not. And then, in the summer, we're really busy there, so I hit it pretty hard for them at that time too.
Okay, one more thing. Both of you were in ODP, and I know that at the start of this season, I think 2 new guys came to the NHL from ODP. Would you like maybe to invite future officials to the ODP? What's the procedure, how they can contact somebody over there?
Yeah, there's ODP gives a lot of opportunities, not just for the NHL, but for other various leagues. And that could be leagues in the United States. It could be leagues across the world. Because if you have the ODP badge on you, people respect it. And especially, you mentioned Scott Zelk at the helm of it. He's been there for, I believe, 9 years now. And he developed us. We started at the bottom of the ODP kind of cycle. And then, we got to go to the Olympics, do various IHF tournaments and stuff. And we both work college hockey here and work at professional leagues, and Bruggs is over in Germany doing stuff. So if there's a way to reach out to somebody, it'd be, maybe one of us, and we talk to, because we help with ODP camps in the summertime with Scott Zelkin. So that's our tryout camp that we do. We evaluate officials based on, fitness and skating skill and that kind of stuff.
Okay. The name of our podcast in Serbian is Pak to the Head. pak u glavu. It means pak to the head. So did any of the officials got a puck to the head at the Olympics?
I don't think anyone got a puck to the head, but I fell right behind a Russian defenseman in the gold medal game with nobody around. So maybe that counts.
Hey, I was broadcasting that game and I saw you touching the ice with your knee, and I was like, well, I guess that's a round after the game.
Expensive one. That was an expensive one.
Hey, well worth it. Okay, boys, anything else from your side for the end?
No, sir.
Okay, well, it was a huge pleasure. Thank you very much. I hope that this is just the beginning of the great careers that is in front of us, and thank you very much for taking your time, and talk to you soon. Dragi gledalci, kao što smo i najavili, imamo gosta koji je došao direktno iz Pekinga u naš studio. Pitat ćemo vidjeti da li je to samo zbog nas ili ima nešto još dodatno. Tako da uživajte na intervju, a preći ćemo sada na engleski. So, as I said in Serbian, we have a really special guest who came straight from Beijing, from the Olympic Games, straight to our studio, maybe or maybe not, we'll hear a little bit later. And his name is Dan Reja. Is that correct?
Yep, perfect.
Why Reja? It sounds Reja or something like that. You're from Canada.
It's a little bit of an Italian mix up at the border when my nono and nono came from Italy to Canada. So
they went straight to Toronto? Or?
They went straight to Halifax.
The Crosby country.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and then to Montreal, and then landed in Toronto. So.
Okay,
yeah.
So you like a lot of pastas.
A lot of, you could tell, can't you?
Only from Nona, or?
Yeah, I'll eat other ones.
You do?
For sure.
So first of all, what brings you here to Serbia?
I've come from Moscow. We were obviously at the Olympics in Beijing and had to go back to Moscow to get our belongings and stay for a little bit to finish up a few things, and then decided to come to Belgrade to work with Red Star Belgrade, an organization here, and hopefully get involved with some of the Serbian ice hockey in a whole. So I'm really happy to be here, really proud.
Now you can tell us and our viewers, what is your actual job? Like, you were in KHL last season and you were in Olympic team of China. Can you please tell us what is actually your job in those two?
I was I went there as a skills coach. So I was every day, all day, working on the development of the young Chinese players that were going to compete in the Olympics. I also had the pleasure of being involved with the KHL team on a daily basis.
Kunlun Red Star.
Kunlun Red Star in the KHL. So I was working underneath our head coach Ivano Zanata, assistant coach Clayton Beddoes, and the other assistant coach was Alexei Kovalev. So I would do skills or run any practices as the year went on, and I also got to learn other traits or other sort of expertise, like doing video review and just analyzing the other teams that we were playing. So
are you at the bench during the game?
No.
Like have a headphone?
I have a headset. I'm watching the game from above, taking notes and seeing what individual players might need. So when I get the opportunity to work with them privately or individually, I'm able to put that to use, effectively on a daily basis. So.
Okay, and you said mostly you're for Chinese players. I thought, like, when you're a skills coach, like, you're for everybody else. But is your contract like, hey, work more with Chinese players so they can get to the level of other Canadians and USA guys in the team?
Like my contract was with Hockey China, with Winter Sport China. It just so happened that the sort of the coming together of Kunlun Red Star and the Chinese ice hockey for this season in particular, to prepare for the Olympics, I was responsible for working with the Chinese players on a daily basis every day, sometimes twice a day.
That they need fast improvement.
And I'll be honest with you, I take a lot of pride, and I'm very proud to say that I had Chinese players that have never played, hadn't played a hockey game in 600 days. There were a handful of them, or 6 of them, 10 of them even at one time, that played in KHL games. I was actually envious of them during the season, a little bit jealous, because these guys are playing in the KHL in the second best league in the world, and I'm responsible for their development. Were they successful? Did they get goals, assists? Not necessarily, no, but they were present and we actually won a few games with them in the lineup. So I took a lot of pride in that, and I was very proud of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's how you improve your local guys, and that's how you improve your national team.
That's the best way to improve everybody else around them and to Chinese hockey move on, move forward.
Yeah.
So when did preparation start, like for the Olympics? So you are in a team that plays in KHL, and that team is pretty much a national team for China, right, at the Olympics?
This season, they really put it down that this was going to be the objective, to work with the Chinese players, as many as we could, to have them prepared for the Olympics. The program, Kunlun Red Star, as you would know, has been going on for 6 years, with different players, imports coming in and out, and quite frankly, a lot of the local Chinese players didn't quite have that opportunity, because the KHL is a serious league and an exceptional league.
And you said that you were in Moscow, not in Beijing. That's the problem for Chinese players.
Yeah, exactly. We were in Moscow primarily, from what I understand, because of COVID, because of the travel. The 2 years prior to that, the 3 years prior to that, they were in Beijing and Shanghai. I was actually an assistant coach with Kunlun Red Star in the MHL, in the Russian Junior League, 4 or 5 years ago, and had an opportunity to travel from Moscow to Harbin, China, 4 times in the time that I was there. And we didn't have a road trip that was less than 42 hours. It took us 42 hours to travel.
It's unbelievable. It's huge country. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
especially
exhausting.
when you have to travel to, for example, Khabarovsk or Vladivostok. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I really do not envy those players. When you talk about professionalism, and
nobody tells you about traveling so further, so much.
Was it 9 time zones?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, 9 time zones. So being a coach is one thing. Having to adjust and be a player, I really don't envy those guys, and I commend them for how well they did, being able to play under those circumstances. So
team stuff. Are they mostly like Russians or mixed Russia, Canada? Like, who are you working with?
Our team comprised of, we had about 32 players on the roster. Obviously, 22 players would dress. We had 12 Chinese kids, or young men, and the rest were either American or Canadian. And I believe we had at any given time 2 or 3 Russians.
Yeah, I watched on Wikipedia the roster, and I saw 2 or 3 guys from Russia.
From Russia, yeah. Veteran guys that have won championships, guys who have played for a long time, and quite frankly, guys that have played in the KHL for Red Star before, because for them to get their Chinese heritage, they needed to play for Kunlun Red Star for 16 months so they could qualify to play in the IIHF tournament.
Yeah, I know that rule. That's really hard. Yeah. And do you think that they're not taking Russians because Russians are not the ones who are going to take a Chinese passport? And that's the reason they're taking Canada and USA guys, they want to be at the Olympics?
Well, most of the players that were Canadian and American had Chinese heritage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So our team was, if they weren't Russian, we might have had, I think, 3 or 4 guys that were flat out American or Canadian. The rest of the players all had some sort of Chinese heritage.
That was awesome.
Yeah, so that was amazing.
Similar to Medvedchuk. They had a lot of players who are born and raised in Canada, but their
Croatia.
Father or grandfather were
from Croatia.
Yeah, like Tommy Zanosky is a friend of mine. Is that safe to say?
It's okay.
We actually had a comment on the last episode, hey, do you want to have Tom Zanosky at your podcast? Like
absolutely.
That
call him after the show. He's a gem.
Yeah, I know.
He's a gem.
I shared ice with him while he was playing in the Medvedchuk and while I was in
you probably put him in the penalty box a few times.
No,
too.
I was still a linesman.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
So we were having fun while I was escorting him to the penalty box.
Yeah, exactly. He's a wonderful guy and he was a great hockey player too. So
he was good. He was good, really good.
Yeah. Okay, so actually you knew that you're going to Olympics like for a whole season. That was your deal when you got a job?
Yeah. We knew.
What was the feeling like?
It was amazing, because like I said, I worked for Kunlun before. just because of some things that were going on at the time with the organization and stuff. We didn't remain as the coaching staff, but I got called back to work with Kunlun with the new head coach, completely different situation. So I was extremely proud that I was recognized to be a skills coach. Not only a skills coach, I mean, one, I'm going to be working with China. Two, I'm going to be working in the KHL. Three, with the Olympics. Four, with Alexei Kovalev and Clayton Beddoes, guys that I looked up to as even though they're just a few years older than me, I looked up to them as a professional hockey player. So to be in the same dressing room, in the same coaching room as them every single day, and learning from them it's priceless.
No.
You can't describe it. It's almost surreal.
So Kovalev, is he a coach as he was a player? Like, what do you have to say about him?
Legend.
Just a legend?
Yeah, just a legend. Just on and off the ice. Just I learned a lot from him, but not even aside from hockey, just the way he presented himself and took care of all of us, showing us around Moscow, treating us out, and
a real host.
Just a real host. He's just a gentleman,
Yeah.
Now let's get to the hockey part. He's just gross. Like, he's the most skilled player I've ever seen to this day. He's still on the ice with professional hockey players. Looks like he can play, aside from some bad knees.
He probably could, but
yeah,
Okay.
he could.
So
he needs to leave space to others.
yeah, let the other guys play.
Yeah,
exactly.
have fun.
Oh, absolutely.
How many days before the Olympics you went to the Beijing? Were you guys in the village?
I was in the village because I was part of the support staff. We had such a large group of people that there actually wasn't enough space for everybody. I got to go into the village. I was in the village. I just didn't sleep in the village. So I had full access to the village. We would have buses there daily, but just our sleeping quarters weren't. And quite frankly, I liked where I stayed better.
Much better, huh?
Yeah, to be honest, I liked better.
Come on, a lot of figure skaters over there.
You know what? It didn't matter. I liked my bed better. It was I still had access to the food and the sort of the environment and stuff like that, but we went, to answer your question, Ivan, we went to Beijing, I think it was 35 days before the first puck drop.
What about everybody else? Like, were you there first?
We were there first, yeah. But we were in quarantine. We went into quarantine for 7 days straight.
Everyone.
Our whole team.
Yeah.
And is it like you're in your room and that's it?
In our room.
Oh my God.
Open the door.
Like prison.
Like prison, yeah.
Netflix.
Netflix and chill. Yeah. Literally open our door to do our PCR test. We did a PCR test once, sometimes twice a day. Unfortunately, we had a few guys that got COVID.
How?
Through their travel.
Nobody knows.
Through their travel. When we were in Moscow, we did tests. We were able to leave Moscow. And then when we got to China, I think there's a 5-day incubation period of COVID, and some of them unfortunately got ill. So there are 4 players and personnel that weren't even able to take part in the Olympics because of COVID.
Yeah.
Wait, 35 days. Come on. Like, after 7 days, you're good to go, huh? No? Not there?
Not there. No.
Not their Olympics?
Special state.
Yeah, it's a little different. They take it very seriously. And
is it like Olympics policy or it's a team policy?
It was a team policy.
Team policy.
Yeah.
Okay. Better safe than sorry, huh?
Better safe than sorry. It's a serious thing there. We respect their decision and what we had to do.
It's their country, of course, their rules.
When in Rome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Okay.
So it was difficult at times because here I have players that I've trained for 7 months that are living, breathing, and dying to play. They couldn't play.
So were they sent back, or they were just sitting?
They're sent to our
village?
like a quarantine hospital, and then hotel.
Oh, really? So like whoever gets COVID is going to that hotel that is like just for COVID party.
COVID party.
Was it called like that?
Yeah. It was very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because these guys, prior to them leaving and coming to even Moscow, they were in a bubble for, I want to say 400 or 500 days. over a year.
Can you imagine that?
Some of these guys hadn't seen their families for 2-3 years.
Really, it was that strict.
Yeah.
So if you have family, like, you're not going there for whole that.
You are committed to your country and committed to the games.
And then you're this close. And then you're back in COVID.
And it was a shame because one player in particular, both of them that didn't partake, made huge strides. Like I can't tell you how proud I am of how I was able to work, but also to see them progress. One player in particular probably would have made a difference for us if we had him in the lineup.
You can say his name.
Yeah, Rex Guo, and I don't want to say hi to Rex.
Rex Guo.
Yeah, Rex. Yeah. Rex is a name that I actually gave him. It's one of the funnest parts of training and working with the Chinese. We get to give them North American names.
Are they similar? How can you recognize them?
We recognize them. Their bodies, their voice. They're all different in their own ways.
Rex.
Yeah, Rex. We have a Buff. We have a player named Buff. He's a big boy.
From the movie Back to the Future, or
no, Big Buff from Bufflin.
Oh, okay.
He's a big boy. But Rex, he made such huge strides coming in to our initial training camp. And I'll be really honest with you. Our practices with the KHL players at the beginning of the year were not great when we integrated the Chinese players.
Yeah, of course.
As the season went on, and quite frankly, quite right near the end, it was seamless. It wasn't like anybody different was on the ice. They molded in just perfectly fine. Obviously, game experience, hockey IQ, and all that was a little bit of a struggle and challenge for them because they didn't get as many games as they were training.
But I mean, I was thinking about talk about that later, but now when you mention it, so do you think that playing with those guys who are professionals from USA, Canada, Russia, being on the ice, I mean, yes, but in a team, you're every day at the practice. You're spending more time at the practice with these guys than on the ice, to be honest. But still, you said that they progress a lot.
Yeah.
Is that a step closer? I mean, they're in a 2A division in the World Championships. Yeah. That's far away from the Olympics. Is that the way what can bring them to be in a couple of years a contender for regular participation to the Olympics, or maybe a pool?
That's a good question, because that's the goal. How they handle that and what they do next is unbeknownst to me. That's going to be the challenge.
But if they continue like this season for next 4 seasons,
100%.
What can you see in 4 seasons?
I would be extremely confident with the 12 players that I trained for the last 7 months, if they were to compete in their division in the IHF World Championships, that they would win that tournament.
Second A.
Yeah, second A. Yeah,
they can win with these players. They can win second A right away.
Yeah. I feel confident that they could. I mean, hey, listen, hockey is a strange sport. You could be
especially strange sport. And I've always said, if you knew who was going to win, you wouldn't have to play. Absolutely.
Right? So do they have the ability? Have they learned? Do they have the IQ? Do they have the skill set? Yeah. If they follow this path, they can grow. But there's no room for error now. They only have...
And our national team had a very good game against China.
They're almost every season with them in the group. Like they were in 2A. Our team went to the 1B last time before COVID and everything. We're still in 1B because tournaments weren't held. Yeah. But anyways, so if we want to grow, we need to get to the KHL, get a team for a KHL, and bring foreigners, get them a passport.
Well, I honestly don't know if foreigners is what Serbia needs. I mean, Serbia's got such good homegrown talent, to be honest with you. Some of the best athletes I've ever seen, physically built, incredible.
We know everything about it, but we don't have places to work.
Yes.
And to play.
Access to play, and it takes money.
Absolutely.
That's true.
It
takes funding.
Biggest,
it doesn't take all the coaches necessarily from the outside or import players. You need to be on the ice. You need to have a regular gym schedule. You know, after the show, I could show your people some pictures of our gym that we used. State of the art. Yeah. There's no dumbbells and
space for us.
Space.
Yeah.
You need space.
And a lot of games, good games in a good league, so you can progress.
Yeah.
Right.
Considering what has been given to Serbian ice hockey players, you guys should be very proud of what those young men are doing in the world of hockey.
And we are.
Yeah.
And everybody.
We know that. We know that. Even trying to tell to other people about that fact.
Yeah, you should be very proud.
Everybody who came from other countries are saying the same thing.
Oh, my
we
God.
have a talent, we have a DNA, but we don't have ice time. We don't have enough money, enough ice rinks, enough games.
Rings are the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Not money, but rings are the main problem here in our country.
Yep.
We have now just 2.5 rings for all country. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's 2 and 2 in Belgrade and Novi Sad maybe.
Yeah, but that one where you had practice this morning, they're not playing games anymore over there. It's a little bit smaller.
Just for training.
And just a couple of months, you need to have a ice rink
facility
that is working 365 days per year.
Yeah.
4 or 5. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you need to be working all year long.
Let's get back to the Olympics. Like we were talking about down part of the atmosphere. What was the atmosphere like going up with the guys who were in the team? Like you guys were watching other teams come to the village and to the Beijing, probably watching their practices. And while it was getting closer, and until the game with Germany. First tell me that, and then we're gonna step into Germany.
It was we were preparing and we were ready to compete. We had a long time without a game because our KHL season stopped, and then we traveled to China to quarantine. So we were without. I can't even remember offhand because it's almost a blur how long we went without a game.
Maybe months or 2 months.
A month for sure without a game.
Probably 2 months.
Yeah, without a game.
Because you went to Beijing 35 days before the game.
Yeah.
Games.
Then in quarantine. They were doing exercise with our off-ice strength coach.
Push-ups in the room?
Push-ups in the room, calisthenics, yeah. And our off-ice guy is second to none. He's incredible. So he was able to keep them in shape and ready to be on the ice. We were fortunate we didn't have any injuries because, sitting still for so long and jet lag and all that, it's... Yeah, exactly. So it could, easily pull a muscle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good that I wasn't in a screen.
That's okay.
Go on. Well, actually, take a sip and tell us first, what do you think about maple syrup in a beer?
I love it. I don't think we have this in Canada, and Canada is the home of maple syrup, obviously. So
there's just a few, but not that easy to find.
It's incredible.
Enjoy a Canada thing in Serbia.
There you go. Beautiful. So we got the opportunity, obviously, as soon as other teams started to come into the village and come into the indoor stadium, is where we played all of our games and practices. We started to see, the composition of these Slovakia, Czech, Finland, Canada, USA. It was big teams. And I got to hand it to our players. They didn't show any sign of fear, or they knew that they can compete.
That's awesome, man. Like
our heritage,
and they did in KHL because lots of players in the other national teams were from KHL teams.
Yeah, but there was a lot of talks about before tournament, like are they gonna be able to play against these teams? Because before tournament, they were in a group with Canada, USA, and Germany, who were second at the last Olympics, almost won the gold. Yeah. And that was before the tournament, the toughest group. Later on, it was a different story, but that was the toughest group before the tournament. So continue on with their mindset your mindset.
Our mindset, we were never at ease because at the beginning of our KHL season, if I can go back, we had to be evaluated by the IIHF. Is China going to be able to play? That was still when the NHL was going to be present at the Olympics. So that we were always on the edge there.
are you good enough?
Are we
for
good
playing
enough? Are we good
Olympic tournament?
A lot of
tournaments.
talks. You know, we had to play 2 evaluation games. We had to be scrutinized. And the IHF, I can't tell you how happy I am with the way they responded to us, how respectful they were to us as a hockey organization and as Team China and Kunlun Red Star. They gave us their blessing. Even if the NHL was going to be there, they came down and said that we've done a really good thing with Chinese ice hockey. So that was great. When we got wind of the NHL not taking part in the Olympics, I'm not going to say we took a deep breath and sort of
really
with a little bit of a relief, but you're right. We knew who our opponent was going to be. Now there was no surprise. You know, we were going to be playing against primarily KHL players or DEL. Swedish Elite League players
from
Liga,
Switzerland,
Swiss.
Finland,
yeah, we knew who our competition was going to be, and most of these heritage players have all played at that level for anywhere from 3 to 7, 10 years. We have ex-NHLers on our team in Kunlun that are heritage players. So our captain Brandon Yip was a NHL veteran. Spencer Fu played in the NHL. Ryan Sproul, our one of our defensemen.
Yeah, true.
Beautiful hockey players, amazing people, and they were so amazing to our homegrown Chinese players that I didn't even get a chance to tell them, but I wanted to say how happy and how proud I am.
You can now say.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you guys. I think it's amazing that the leadership that everyone showed. They never complained ever about anything about the collaboration, so to speak, that we had to put together so this could be a success for us. So it just shows how great hockey is as a community when guys treat other hockey players with the respect that they did. So it was great.
I mean, if I was in their shoes, I would be scared. So this thing that you're saying, it's unbelievable. But that's probably even coming from the back office, you know, how you treat your players and how you work with them on the ice and through the whole season. That's a good, way how you get the players to that place, right?
It starts at the top. It starts at the top. It doesn't matter what organization or what business you're running. It starts with the leadership and our head coach. We couldn't have asked for a better guy to lead our charge, because the way he brought everyone together and made everyone feel responsible and gave everybody the freedom to work with whoever they might be working with. The players had no choice but to follow our lead. Mm. You know, if I'm going to be on the ice and treat the homegrown Chinese players with respect, and I'm a NHL drafted player and been doing skills for over 12, 13 years, why isn't just a professional hockey player going to treat them with respect, you know?
Yeah, that's how it should be, yeah.
So that was another role that I had, where I came to the rink and the other coaches, we were positive every day and made the heritage players and the homegrown Chinese players really mesh together well, you know, because I think we have Belarus, Finnish goalie coach, Belarus strength coach, Italo-Canadian head coach.
Russia around the world.
You were world in small.
Did you have any Serbian?
Unfortunately, no.
Call me next time. In 4 years.
I know.
You know a guy? We need a linesman for the inter squad games.
Linesman. Oh, yeah. For games before the tournament.
Yeah.
Did you check your heart rate, first puck drop?
Oh, geez. You know what? It's like I said, it's a blur.
You don't even have time to think about that.
You don't have time to think about it. You know,
just go.
It's a goal. Just go, and we've prepared for this. We're excited for it. You know, playing against the USA, our first game. You know, these are kids. I'm going to call them kids because they're young men playing college hockey. Some of them are playing pro. They had played up until the time they came to China. Obviously, they went through a small quarantine period and COVID testing, but they didn't have the layoff that we did. And I'm not making excuses, but it was hard for us to come into that game and a little bit of nerves.
First game is always the toughest.
It's a tough
against USA,
tough one.
you know.
Yeah.
And USA was one of main favorites for the gold.
Yeah,
really. I'll be honest. I think personally, playing us their first game, was a detriment to their success, because they might have thought it was going to be a little bit easier from that point on because of how well they did against us, But we held them off. Them off.
That was a good result, to be honest.
I think, like I said, it's every day is in the past and a little bit of a blur, as I've said several times. But I think we were struggling in the first period, and then we settled down. And I think
your players need time to take everything they learn from you and to show everyone what they have
probably
learned.
They were a little bit nervous. Come on, like those players probably didn't even think 5 years ago that they will make it to the Olympics, and now you're playing against USA. That's great feeling.
Especially in your country, everybody is watching you. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Then that was not a bad result against USA. It wasn't a bad result against Canada. It was a good game. And then that game with Germany, you guys were close.
I know.
3-2. Walk us through that game.
3-2. I don't even know how many posts we hit. The DEL in German ice hockey is incredible. We had the luxury of being together all year. As a team, whereas a lot of these teams had to be put together, and for their chemistry to get together in such a short period of time could be a challenge, no matter how talented they are. But we have a system that we play, and we try to implement it and execute as best we can. And we were able to pull them off, and our goaltending did well. And as show me a good goalie, I'll show you a good coach.
Exactly.
Right? True. So we were able to keep them, to hold them to 3-2. I said to some of the coaches after the game, it was one of those games where you say, shit, if we only had another period.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they only had another period, right?
But still, you guys had the happy faces after that game and after a tournament.
And you said by yourself that you were very proud of everything they achieved in Olympics.
Well, I'm proud. Every single result was respectable. No games were over double digits. You read a Canadian article and they're saying that the Canadian journalists are saying and even coaches are saying we're going to lose 100-0. 100-0.
That's disrespectful.
It's so disrespectful to the game.
Whenever you do that, you're losing. You're not winning that tournament. And that happened to Canada a couple of times.
Yeah, and for us to lose 5-0 and 7-2 against Canada was
great.
Those
result.
That's getting to the Olympics was like winning a medal for us.
I must say, in 1984, ex-Yugoslavia were in this position like China, and nobody knows how they will go through the tournament, but they played very well and get a big win against Italy 5-1. After that they lost everything because they were outsiders, but that win was something special, and lots of kids after that win started to skate, starting to play hockey. And in this 80s years of last century was the greatest years of ex-EU hockey. For example, Slovenians were playing against Serbians, Croatians were playing against Slovenians and Serbians. It was very fun, and we just love to see that happening, and we are hoping that it will be again something like that.
Yeah, China is growing.
We hope.
I grew up on that playing. That's the reason why I like hockey.
Yeah, from that experience that you witnessed. Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's what we're hoping, that young hockey players, young boys and girls in China adopt playing the sport of hockey. Even just winter sports in a whole are going to grow in China because of the
Olympics.
Absolutely. Not to mention the facilities they've built there now for hockey to take place, for bobsled to take place, for figure skating. It's and that's what's going to help them have access to the skating rink, the ice rinks that they need.
KHL is widening their business. I was in Dubai when they had the game, and it was a really good game in Dubai.
Yeah, it was Akbar's and
Avant-Garde.
Yeah.
Champion against one of the best club, and it was full.
Yeah,
and it was very interesting. That's the main reason why the China na srpskom. China is a very important part of KHL plans.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
So we've walked through the impression for Team China. Can you tell us your overall view on the Olympics? Like, would you like to say something maybe about Finland, Slavkovsky from Slovakian team, or what did you guys do after these games? Did you fly right away, or you stayed to watch games?
We because of COVID, we were under some pretty strict restrictions, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't have that much of an opportunity to see other events or even other games. Our bus left when our bus left, and it was hard for us to take in, other games or other events. But the young kid from Slovakia he's
just only 17.
17.
17. Yeah. Slavkovsky is unreal.
Yes. I told you that Slovakian are so good, and they were waiting just opportunity to show us how they are good.
Yeah. The Slovakian Czech.
He told me about Slovakia, and I thought that he's kidding. I was like, there's no way they're going to do anything. I knew about that kid Slavkovsky. I'm following him for a couple of years, but I was like, he's 17. There's no way he's going to be...
They're great hockey country.
That he's gonna bring them a first medal, and he's the best scorer of the tournament with 17 years old, MVP of the tournament.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And they are. I actually trained a young man from Slovakia for 10 years who's now opened up his own training center and hockey school in Slovakia and Bratislava. So he's probably had his fingers on a lot of the development of these young players.
And now you are knowing our guys.
Yeah.
Our guys in their early ages about hockey are better than Slovakian or Czechs, but after that they lose their touch and they go down.
Well,
because of everything we said earlier.
Funding and opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at some of the players that play for Red Star, that I'm familiar with that have gone to America to play. How dominant they are, how good they are. It's all about exposure and getting the opportunity to play, abroad, or somewhere else. But it shouldn't have to be like that. And it's the same thing with Chinese ice hockey. A lot of wealthy Chinese families are moving to North America, Canada, Toronto in particular, to play ice hockey. Because the development and the opportunity to play in China isn't quite there, and you have to have leagues that are operating. You have to have funding, uniforms, practice times, physical fitness and gym times, hockey theory, for the sport to grow.
A lot of steps.
A lot of steps. Yeah.
So you started as a skills coach in season 17-18 to China under 18 team, right? And assistant coach and everything. Yeah. How did you get in touch with them? Like, how did you get this call?
We were. I was in Toronto doing skills, and I had my own hockey school. And Kunlun Red Star was going to move a under 18 team to Toronto to play in the prep school program.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they went through a whole interview process there where I think anywhere from 20 to 30 coaches from Toronto were interviewed by Steve Casper, who's an ex-NHL player. He was the head coach for the team. And I was fortunate enough to be selected as one of the assistant coaches with the U18 team in Toronto. After that season, we were the coaching staff for the U18 Chinese national team in Zagreb, where we played Serbia. They beat us. They're very good. I probably coached against a ton of the players that are playing for Red Star right now, quite frankly. So, and then we obviously just morphed into being the coaches for the MHL team the season after that. So I've been involved with Kunlun Red Star and Chinese ice hockey for 4 years now.
Oh, you're with them all the time?
Not the whole time. There was a little bit of a break.
Okay.
Just some differences in staff and personnel and management. So I took a little bit of time off, went back to Toronto and worked I own a training facility and skills center in Toronto. So I worked there.
Talk about that also. If somebody wants to reach you, where they can reach you.
Yeah, I'm in Toronto. I have a shooting and stick handling facility. I've had several that I've had to move around just because of logistics and me moving out of the country for coaching opportunities. But I do a lot of off-ice training, stick handling and shooting primarily. So when I stopped coaching in Kunlun with the MHL team, I moved back to operate my training center, and then was called to be given this opportunity to work with Kunlun and Team China.
Okay, and you said that one season Team Kunlun played in Canada for a whole year?
Yeah.
And was it just that one, or they're still having some trips over there?
Just 1 year. It was 1 year. They were hoping to develop MHL players, so we developed some of the MHL players. Some of those MHL players like Rex and Buff were now on the Olympic team. So some of the players that I coached, some of them weren't of age. Some of them are still fairly young. So they were 16 years old at the time. They're only 20 now. So they were still even too young to take part in this Olympic journey.
But next one.
The problem is
why not?
But the problem is a lot of them quit hockey or don't play.
Just like here.
Because there's
that
no leagues.
Opportunity was unreal.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe still.
Yeah, there's no there's no leagues there to play in, so they all have. If there's only one goal and no other options or other opportunities, what are they going to do? Right.
That's right.
So some of them have gotten into coaching, started to coach or do training in China. So that makes me happy to hear. And
still stay in sport.
Stay in the sport. Yeah, that's the key, and that's very important for our young homegrown Chinese players this season, for us to give them hope that they could train and develop young Chinese players growing up in China for the future.
So what is your future? Do you still have a contract with them? Are you going back to China for next season? Like, do you have anything?
We don't know.
Yeah. Obviously, call this guy.
Yeah. We don't know. You know,
would you like to stay there?
Yeah, it's a growing country, and it's a great opportunity to be on a world stage. You know, in the World Championships or whatever it might be. But you know, it doesn't matter for me, to be honest with you. I go where hockey is and where I'm appreciated and wanted, and if it's Serbia, it's Serbia.
Yeah, that's the next question.
Where hockey takes me, it's this. That's my magic carpet.
Yeah,
hockey.
true.
Is there a chance that you would maybe like to come here from time to time and work with these guys?
Absolutely. I've been around hockey for a long time. And I've been around people in all different countries.
You have a suitcase in your hand.
I've got more than a suitcase. Trust me.
I trust you.
Yeah. I traveled to China with two hockey bags and a bundle of hockey sticks. I landed in Belgrade with 4 hockey bags, 2 suitcases, and a bundle of hockey sticks.
Is there anything for our guest? Maybe some. Do you have any extra stick that we can say is a present?
Yeah. I didn't realize there was such an amazing setup in here. I didn't know what I was getting into. So I'm for sure I'll get you guys some stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so we can say that one viewer can get a stick from you.
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
you will sign it later, and viewers, you know what's the procedure in Serbia. I know that you're from Canada or China, but our viewers from Serbia, the comment with the most likes are gonna get Dan's stick signed straight from Beijing.
Yeah, I have to ask a few questions more.
Sure.
Although we don't have so much time. You are following KHL, logically, and can you tell me, at your opinion, who is the best team this year?
Oh, geez.
Can you predict the champion?
I can't. It's so hard. I mean, Akbar's Dinamo Moscow, Avangard was a strong team. It's tough.
And your favorite club? Except Cologne Red Star, of course.
I'm a
You can ask him who's the best CSKA.
Yeah.
Because it's red. Come on.
Yeah,
Red Star,
Blue,
Red, Red Star,
no, I'm not Red
Belgrade.
Star. I'm not Red Star. But CSKA is red blue.
Fedorov.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
And do you watch, I suppose that you watch NHL?
Yeah, I do. I'm a hockey. I'm
Fan.
crazy about hockey, and I love.
Do you have time for watching?
I don't have time, and it's hard for me to get the NHL network on without a VPN sometimes, and just
especially not in China, I suppose.
Especially not in China.
You can't watch it without VPN.
No, you can't. There's a lot of restrictions.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. So go and watch KHL.
Instagram, everything. Everything is difficult.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
And your favorite team in NHL? Do you have one?
I'm a hockey fan. I'm more of a players.
Yeah, and your favorite player is?
I'm a Kucherov.
You're Kucherov.
Crosby, nothing.
Crosby, I love naturally. McKinnon.
Makar maybe because
Makar is
those skills practices that you did today. I said to the father, hey, that's Makar move.
That's the Makar stuff. Yeah. It's being elusive, being unpredictable, and having all options open. But definitely Makar. I mean, there's just so many good players. And to go back to the KHL, we played obviously every team. And they were all good. The depth of each KHL team, unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable. I might be shooting myself in the foot here. I don't think the NHL is the best league in the world.
Okay,
so I don't think
lots of players from Europe and from around the world are now in NHL. It's a big question how it will look without them.
Yeah.
That's the main question.
It is, but they're still going there because they think NHL. If you ask me, it's still NHL.
Yeah.
But okay, I respect your opinion. You're there.
The only I'm not saying it is the best league in the world, but the best players in the world are not all in the NHL.
Well, I agree with that. Of course, there's a lot of players who want to stay in KHL.
Politician.
You
learn lots of in China.
But they're speaking about September. NHL teams with the Russian players go to the KHL for friendly games. That's going to be interesting.
There you go.
If that happens.
Yeah.
Anything else for the end on your side?
No, I just want to say thank you guys for having me.
And have you ever get back in your head?
Have I ever got a puck to the head?
Yeah.
Several times.
Of course.
Several times.
Jule's most favorite question.
Yeah, several times. But
Phil's teeth are yours, or
one fake one. I've been fortunate. I wish I lost them because
then you can say, hey,
I was a good player.
Yeah. I got in the corners more. You know what I'm saying? But. It is what it is. So.
Right. Thank you very much for taking your time and for flying straight from Beijing to this studio, just for us.
Thank you guys
and
very much.
And the Red Star in Belgrade. And dear viewers, I hope that you enjoyed as much as we did. Don't forget to press like, to put a comment in the YouTube channel. Maybe you'll get Dan's stick. Bye.